subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
It was hard to believe now that Lin Fan really compared Shinomiya Kojiro. Originally, he just wanted to pull Lin Fan and Tadakoro Megumi at a critical moment. After all, these two young people are rare talents in the food industry. In the future, Tsuki will surely write a glorious history. However, now that I think about it, it's all self-indulgent. Lin Fan's strength is really strong. If you say that you will graduate now and become a chef, you are not inferior to others. However, Kojiro Shinomiya next to him could not accept it. Grab your cutlery and pick up a sliced tornado vegetable roll. It's impossible. I want to taste it myself. How can a student at school take one bite into your mouth? Shock. Although the vegetable roll has been cut in half. After the entrance, the twisted twist in the second half broke instantly, and when it bounced back and forth in the mouth, it formed a strong tornado. Wind. It's the taste of the wind. In my mouth, like a hurricane, they wantonly invade every inch of taste buds. The tender, rich, and delicious meat filling, paired with wild mushrooms, is perfect. There are not too many complicated seasonings, just simple salt, pepper, and soy sauce, which can restore the original taste of the food to the greatest extent possible. Enjoy! I enjoyed this dish so much. After Shinomiya Kojiro sighed for a while, the kitchen was quiet. Everyone was taken aback. These words came from his own mouth. Shinomiya Kojiro was instantly ashamed. It turns out, he actually lost to this kid in front of him because of his carelessness and disdain. Even if there's a lot of dissatisfaction, this is the end. The students watching on the side have been shaking their heads with emotion. At this moment, their views on Lin Fan changed completely. At this moment, Lin Fan smiled and said, "Senior Qinglong, how is it?" Dojima Jin didn't say anything and looked at the four palaces. Since he was asking him, he would have to say it himself. If he wants to say it. Shinomiya Kojiro took a deep breath. Then he said calmly, "Yes, I admit your tornado vegetable roll is indeed better than my French cabbage roll. Congratulations, you don't have to drop out." After speaking, Shinomiya Kojiro took off his waist and walked away. It's embarrassing enough. I don't want to stay here for one more minute. Chapter 59, The Appearance of Little Cousin Alice. 4 flowers. Lin Fan beat up Shinomiya Kojiro for Tadakoro Megumi. Even the students who were observing said they were just learning and would not spread the word. But such an earth-shattering gossip, Kojiro Shinomiya, who used to be the chief of Tsuki and an elite in the industry, lost to a freshman Tsuki. This kind of big news, which has never been seen before, has spread among the students in an instant. Even if it is not publicly stated, Lin Fan's strength has been recognized. Not convinced. So, when Lin Fan came out of the underground kitchen, along the way, he noticed that the eyes of the students had changed. This guy actually won Senior 4 palaces. If someone hadn't seen it with his own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. It is said that he made a Chinese-style cabbage roll, which is amazing. What's the origin of Lin Fan? I've never heard of this person before, and it was praised by Dojima Senpai, saying that he has the same practical experience as many great chefs. This is already a very powerful evaluation. I can't mess with it. I can't mess with it. In short, when I see Lin Fan in the future, I will think that he won the senior of the 4 palaces. Really, even the Tsuki Elite 10 don't dare to challenge easily. This guy actually did it. Along the way, Tadakoro Megumi listened to the students whispering. From a moment the victory was declared, it all felt like a dream. Student Lin, do you see the way others look at us? I always felt that I was so lucky to have met you. Without you, I'm afraid I was expelled from school a long time ago. How can I still stay until now? Tadakoro Megumi said, and began to feel sad again. Nakiri Arena listened and said calmly, if you keep doing this, you really won't be able to support the wall with mud. Lin Fan bet on his studies and pulled you, not to let you continue to live by. I'm talking about, this time, Senior Qinglong did not use all his strength. However, Lin Fan, who is good at and specializes in Chinese cuisine, still use the Chinese cuisine he is good at this time to win. If the theme this time is to make Italian cuisine or French cuisine, then Lin Fan may suffer. So, please cheer up a little, or you'll be helping you in vain. Although Nakiri Irina's words were venomous, they were also kind. After all, this Tsundera's eldest lady, for the time being, can't help herself and communicate normally. At this moment, Mito Yumei was walking towards this direction. While walking, he said angrily, "I said you too. What's the situation?" I actually learned from someone else that Lin Fan actually ate a halberd privately with Senior Qinglong. It even won. Even so, this guy is really messing around. How strong is the Senior Qinglong? Do you have no idea? Lin Fan calmly smiled and said, "Cut." Then it's not his defeat in the end. After listening to Tadakoro Megumi, he quickly stepped forward and explained, "Sorry, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to worry everyone. But fortunately, there is classmate Lin." When Mito Yumei saw Irina behind him, he hesitated, obviously restraining himself a lot. The group was going to go back to the room, then tidied up, and then went to take a bath and slept soundly. At this moment, when I walked to the corner, I saw a girl in a school uniform with short silver hair. Standing next to him was a boy with a red ribbon on his hands, spinning 2 balls in his hands. The girl held her head high, her face confident, and walked towards Lin Fan. Yukiha, SMA, and next to him clearly felt that the aura was wrong. So he leaned over to Lin Fan and asked in a low voice, "Hey, that girl, looking at this posture, she's coming for you." "Okay, Lin Fan, you really make enemies on all sides. People inside and outside the school are all provoked, and some men and women." Lin Fan replied, dumbfounded. "What does this have to do with me? I don't know her at all." Yukihira SMA was surprised. However, Nakiri Irina replied calmly, "It's not Lin Fan, it's me." Everyone was surprised. I saw Nakiri Irina quicken her steps, walk to the front, and said, "It's really a narrow road for friends, little cousin." Everyone was surprised. This girl turned out to be Nakiri Irina's cousin, Nakiri Alice. I saw that Nakiri Alice became even colder after listening to it. With a condescending look, he looked at Nakiri Irina and replied, "Don't always look like a queen. Do you think it's great?" As he said that, he looked at Lin Fan and his party and said, "But I'm quite surprised. The queen is also a commoner now, isn't it? Do you want to experience the life of the common people? I really didn't expect that you, who has always been on top, even had friends." Nakiri Irina replied indifferently, "Thank you for your advice. But what I'm trying to say is that you're really worrying too much. What does this have to do with you? If you have time to spare, take care of yourself." Saying that, Nakiri Irina brushed past him and dropped a word. "I'm going back first, and you don't have to call me if you have any activities." After speaking, Nakiri Irina walked away. Arato Hisako, who was following behind, who had been unknown all this time, looked at Alice indifferently and followed. At this time, Nakiri Alice laughed. "You left your friends so soon? By the way, you don't know yet, do you? Wait to meet at the venue. Dojima-senpai has something important to announce." One step ahead. After speaking, Nakiri Alice also walked away. After everyone listened, they took a deep breath again. Is this still over? Let's not let people rest. Chapter 60. Everyone else is working overtime, but Lin Fan is sleeping, begging for flowers. Along the way, Tadakoro Megumi grew stronger. She was not so weak that she could crush her sense of sight with a little force. It seems that being stimulated by Nakiri Irina, the effect is still very significant. The group came directly to the assembly hall. Compared with 2 days ago, the number of students has decreased by more than half. The venue doesn't look as crowded anymore. The students look tired and anxious. Seeing Lin Fan coming in, those surprised and envious eyes swept over in unison. "Come here, he's Lin Fan, the freshman who defeated Shigong Senpai. What do you think he's feeling now? Maybe the next training camp will not have any pressure on him? After all, he is optimistic about the mentors. The elite graduates have been booked in advance. What do you think? I really want to make friends with him. I envy the friends around him, and I can talk to him at close range. I also want to move to Polar Star Dorm to be close to Lin Fan. Why don't you just go to the Black Kirin Cooking Research Institute? That's also but I heard that the requirements for the assessment are quite high. Hey. The students whispered. Jin glanced at Lin Fan and smiled. I feel that the future of this young man is immeasurable. Then, seeing that the students were almost there, Jin, who was standing on the podium, started to speak. Everyone, I'm sorry to have to call you here so late. But there is no way. After all, this is a freshman training camp, a cruel training camp. Not for you to come on vacation. Next, I'm going to announce something. Saying that, Jin gave a long smile and continued. What I want to talk about is the content of tomorrow's training camp. At Totsuki Resort Hotel, every morning is the start of a new day for our guests. That's why breakfast is especially important. Tomorrow's task is to make a dish with Totsuki's noble guests at the center. The dishes must be creative and make the guests happy after eating. The theme for breakfast has been thought out. It's eggs. Yes, that's right. Eggs, duck eggs, etc. Please use your imagination. By the way, I would like to emphasize here that the one dish I'm talking about here does not mean that you are really only allowed to cook one. It's a dish. Make 200 servings. While there was an uproar in the venue. Compared to the previous assessment, this time, it was even more frustrating. You have to make great dishes while keeping the quantity up. Jin continued. So saying, from now to 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, you still have nearly 12 hours. Go to the kitchen to study tomorrow's recipe. Of course, you can also go back to your room and go to bed. It's all up to you. 200. I thought it would be 200 subject for tomorrow, but I didn't expect it to be synchronized with breakfast time. That's even scarier than the previous 50. So at this moment, the students instantly fry the pot. They expressed their dissatisfaction. Oh my God, what's the situation? Do you still want to live? It's just finished training. I'm still thinking about going back to my room and taking a comfortable bath. How is it possible in such a tight time? Can I make 200 copies in advance? Then the premise is that your cooking can last the whole night and the freshness is guaranteed. Overnight breakfast, appearing in such a luxurious hotel, is a taboo. Then what should I do? Even if the recipe is researched now, what time will I get up tomorrow so that I can finish 200 copies? This unscientific. The students seem to be protesting. This class of students seems to be more self-disciplined than before. However, Jin, who saw all this in his eyes, felt nothing at all. Maybe this scene is seen more often. So, seeing him indifferently said, you can express your dissatisfaction. If you're not convinced, then pack up and get out. Suddenly, the entire venue fell silent. The students are not talking or protesting. Jin finally said, that's it for today. I look forward to your performance tomorrow. Come on, everyone off. The group began to worry again. Tadakuro Megumi, who was clearly cheered up, felt the pressure again. Started in the palm of the hand again, kept gesturing, and then swallowed. Yoshino Yuki even more, crying, I can't sleep tonight. It's too much. Mito Yumei said there was not much pressure. HJ Miyoko looked calm. At this time, everyone turned their attention to Lin Fan and saw him as if nothing had happened. Yoshino Yuki asked, Lin Fan-san, 200 copies. You should feel a little pressure now, right? This is the Totsuki training camp, and it's getting scarier every day. There are still 2 days left, and I don't know if I can hold it. Lin Fan glanced at her and said calmly, pressure? What is stress? I've never felt any stress. Wouldn't you really not sleep and go to the kitchen to study some recipes? Everyone was shocked. Don't you need it? Yukihira SMA asked first. Lin Fan shook his head, tapped his head lightly with his fingertips, and said, the recipes are all here. Refreshing energy. Only a good mental state can make good cooking. I have to go back to my room to take a hot bath. And then Sue comfortably sleeps. Good night, everyone. By the way, don't stay up too late. After speaking, Lin Fan turned around and left. The crowd suffocated in disbelief. Yukihira SMA said speechlessly, this guy, why do you always look like you are not afraid of the sky falling down? The key is to be able to cope with it every time. Could it be? Is this the strong one? Here is the lovely dividing line. P.S. Sorry, today's update is a little late. University students came to my house the day before yesterday, so the update was a little slower. I went back today, so I will slowly recover. Thank you for your understanding. Keep asking for a wave of flowers. Chapter 61. What is 3 egg xiaomai? Begging for flowers. Next morning, Lin Fan got up early, and the rest of the night really refreshed him. The continuation of a new day is about to begin. Getting up from the bed, Lin Fan stretched hard and moved his muscles and bones. After all, 200 copies is equivalent to exercising early. Do a warm-up in advance. When I came out of the room, I saw Tadakuro Megumi, Yoshino Yuki, and his party dragging their tired bodies, and then came back. Lin Fan was surprised. You are? Won't you sleep all night? Yoshino Yuki shook his head vigorously and said aggrieved, Hey, it's so pitiful. Lin Fan, please comfort me and cheer me up. I haven't slept all night. The kitchen where I get up in the middle of the night. Tadakuro Megumi nodded. Eizan Zhijin pushed the glasses and said helplessly, If only I could have half the strength of Lin Fan. Really, as a data researcher, I am ashamed that I haven't been able to research Lin Fan's recipe routine until now. Maybe this is the gap between people. Lin Fan smiled and signaled to go to the venue first. A venue Lin Fan was in the kitchen. After quickly getting everything ready, he came to the designated venue. In the whole venue, no students can be assigned to a cooking area. The spacing between each student is still wide enough that it is almost unaffected. The most important thing is that there are dozens of such cooking areas in this venue. You can see how spacious the venue is. One by one, the students began to take their places. Lin Fan followed the old acquaintances around him in a venue. At this time, because the venue was too large, Dojima Jin spoke through the hanging big screen. Dojima Jin smiled and said, Everyone, welcome to the venue. Next, we will invite the judges of this assessment to come on stage. Squeak. After speaking, the door of the venue was opened, and 3 or 5 people joined together, or one by one, entered the venue one after another. At the same time, there were even children chasing and playing. At this point, Dojima Jin continued. The classmates also saw it. The judges who are responsible for the assessment this time are all suppliers who have always cooperated with Tsuki. As well as their families, they are invited to do a training review every year. It was explained to them in advance. It's surprise egg cuisine. Please trust their judging ability based on experience. It is absolutely impossible to go wrong. So, everyone, I wish you good luck. After Dojima Jin finished speaking, another group of people came in, wearing the familiar Tsuki Hotel overalls. It is the foreman of the service department of the Tsuki Hotel, as well as the right arm of the chefs. I saw them saying in unison, Hello, everyone. It's the first time we meet. Please, everyone. In 2 hours, make a breakfast that is satisfying and surprising to us, even if it had been vaccinated in advance yesterday. But the students were stunned when they saw such a big battle. There are old people and children, men and women, but there's only one breakfast to choose from. It's hard to estimate everyone's tastes. I'm so nervous. I don't want to be eliminated. Students habitually complain. However, Lin Fan had already come to the cooking area where he was. Seeing Tadakuro Megumi, Mito Yumei and his party took their places one after another. The 2-hour cooking time unfolded quietly. The students began to work nervously. However, coincidentally, next to Lin Fan is Takumi Aldini. Seeing that he was working hard on cooking, out of the corner of his eye, he saw Lin Fan was looking at him. This guy suddenly had a conditioned reflex, turned around immediately, looked at Lin Fan, and pretended not to see it. It seems that it was the last competition that gave him a shadow, but he was very curious about what Lin Fan would do today. It was very funny to look at Lin Fan quietly while meeting Lin Fan's eyes. Afterwards, I saw 2 girls walking to the Aldini cooking area. He asked curiously, What's the name of this dish you made? It looks delicious. Aldini looked confident, but glanced at Lin Fan secretly. Seeing that Lin Fan didn't move, he retracted with peace of mind, Baked egg. It's an egg dish from Italy. It's baked with cheese. The girl shook her head and said, But it looks like it's a bit too common for breakfast, right? After listening, Aldini smiled meaningfully. No. Ma'am, you misunderstood. This baked egg of mine is for everyone to taste in the form of a salad. Saying that, I saw Aldini Cut the baked egg into pieces, put in the vegetables, add balsamic vinegar and Parmesan cheese. After stirring evenly, it was packaged and handed to the two girls. Italian salad egg is finished. Please taste it. The girl was surprised, picked up the salad, and took a bite in her mouth. Suddenly, the girls looked happy. Good, soft eggs mixed with crunchy lettuce texture and a refreshing sauce. Delicious. Aldini gets the first good reviews. Seeing him holding his hands, now he has the confidence to open his eyes to look at Lin Fan. The girls followed Aldini's line of sight and saw Lin Fan at this time, a basket of cooking dishes, which had just come out of the pot. So I got interested and asked, what is the steamer used by this classmate? Lin Fan smiled calmly and replied, 3 egg xiaomai. Chapter 62, the really powerful characters are over there. Begging for flowers, 3 egg xiaomai? The two girls spoke in unison. Lin Fan nodded calmly. Then, opened the steamer. Whoa, whoa, a burst of water vapor erupted. The white fog blocked his vision, and when he took a closer look, he was surprised. The steamer was empty. The girl was surprised. Why is it empty? This classmate, your cooking attitude is too hasty. Aldini was not surprised when he saw it. Based on experience, it is absolutely impossible for Lin Fan to do such a ridiculous thing. At this time, Lin Fan took out the xiaomei that was ready for his sight. There are also prepared toppings. I saw that Lin Fan was skillful, spread the xiaomai skin on the top, and burst the prepared filling into the skin. Then he said calmly, before putting the siamai on the steamer, preheat it. The cooked siamai should be eaten while it's still hot. Please wait for a while. The girl shook her head and said, can I say that this looks like an ordinary roasted wheat? Isn't the theme egg? Could it be that eggs are mixed into the meat? In contrast, I prefer the baked egg salad just now. Another girl in the group responded. Indeed, my vote is for baked egg salad. Let's go over there and see. Lin Fan just replied calmly. I promise you will regret saying such a thing later. The girl turned back and smiled. Oh, seeing this, Aldini smiled proudly, but never dared to focus his eyes on Lin Fan. He turned around and continued to smile to himself. Finally putting him in the lead, Aldini even had it in his head. Waiting for Lin Fan's results to be announced, he returned all the insults he had received before. Lin Fan didn't say a word and put the wrapped siamai into the steamer one by one. However, at this time, a sigh from the other side caught everyone's attention. Lin Fan was no exception, turned around and saw that it was Tadakoro Megumi. I saw an old man eating the breakfast she made and sighing with emotion. Ah, it's delicious. After the quail eggs are seasoned, the soup that slowly flows out fills the entire mouth. It goes well with vegetables the size of quail eggs. Unconsciously, I feel like I can't stop once I eat. Tadakoro Megumi looked confident, looked back at Lin Fan, smiled knowingly, and then, on Mito Yumi's side, a bunch of people were amazed. I saw Dojima Jin's assistant chef, who was amazed when he tasted Mito Yumi's cooking. I can't believe that in a place like the breakfast buffet, there is also a rice bowl. On normal rice bowls, broth is added, but this classmate's rice bowl turned out to be soy sauce and a little bit of appetizing sour. This wakes up the sleeping stomach in the morning. It's so delicious, it's so delicious, the man said and asked excitedly. Classmate, did you develop the meat, soup, and sauces for your rice bowls by yourself? It's really amazing. Mito Yumei smiled and shook his head. Recently, in Tsuki, a new Chinese cuisine research society was established. In it, it taught me some useful things. Like this rice bowl, the use of fruit acid can improve the taste. After the boy heard it, he replied, the newly established Chinese Cuisine Research Institute? As far as I know, it was founded by a freshman, right? Mito Yumei nodded, pointed at Lin Fan, and said, hey, right there. Everyone's eyes swiped in unison, moving in the direction of Mito Yumei's fingers. I saw Lin Fan at the moment, putting the wrapped siamai into the steamer. At this time, the girl who just passed by said, it's him. It's not as powerful as you say it is. I just came from there, and he just wrapped a normal xiaomai. It's not as good as I thought, and compared to his classmate across the door, the bruschetta salad is even better, Mito Yumei retorted. Don't judge his cooking with your superficial eyes. He will surely cook amazing dishes. Even if you look at a very ordinary siamai now, it will definitely shine when it's made. Everyone was stunned. Suddenly, Mito Yumei realized his recklessness and looked embarrassed. Then he quickly said, "Sorry, I was a little rude just now. But please believe that the xiaomai he made will never disappoint everyone." At this time, a girl said, "It seems to be out of the pot. Why don't we try it?" After listening, everyone nodded in agreement. Several people walked to the Lin Fan cooking area one after another. Seeing that the steaming siamai just came out of the pot, it is just a layer of more material on the surface than ordinary siamai. After all, it was wrapped in sauerkraut, so I didn't think there was much to eat. The girl walked up to the front and picked up one blue, and took a bite. Kakaka, in an instant, the girl was surprised. Eat the whole siamai into your mouth, chewing and picking up one. Before waiting for the food in his mouth, he quickly took another bite. At this time, after swallowing it, he was surprised. This roasted wheat. What is the top layer of crumbs? But I got the crab roe in the middle. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly picked up a piece of siumai and tasted it one after another. Chapter 63 completely break the Totsuki record and cannot surpass it. Begging for flowers. When the other suppliers saw this, they stood at the front and quickly picked up a portion and ate it. Kakaka! Suddenly, everyone was shocked. The girl said in surprise, "Yes, I didn't lie to you. This xiaomai seems to be unremarkable, but in fact there is something in it." After the entrance, the bursting feeling of the crab seeds instantly filled the entire mouth. Afterwards, what I tasted turned out to be flowers of shrimp meat, right? I still don't know what the black bits on the top layer are. All in all, it was delicious. It was so delicious. Can you tell me, what is the name of this xiaomai? Lin Fan smiled calmly. 3-egg xiaomai. Everyone was shocked. 3 eggs? Xiaomai! The girl exclaimed. Today's theme is eggs, but I only ate crab roe. Suddenly, in the middle of the conversation, he reacted again. No, there are eggs. This xiaomai skin is made with eggs, so this dish, whether it's eggs or crab roe, has the theme. However, the name of the xiaomai is obviously 3 eggs, and 1 egg is. Lin Fan smiled and pointed to the black powder that xiaomai was staring at. This is it. Isn't everyone asking at the beginning? What is this black crumb? I'll tell you now, preserved egg. Wow, everyone was shocked. For Lin Fan to say the word preserved egg, it can only be said that it is unbelievable. This black crumb is actually a preserved egg? I heard it right. Is it the dreaded preserved egg in Chinese cuisine? Impossible. Although I haven't eaten it, I have heard of it. I heard that the taste is prohibitive. To be honest, I've eaten preserved eggs before, but this is totally different. Preserved eggs are also made from duck eggs. If you add preserved eggs, then this is indeed a 3-egg xiaomai. It's amazing. I only tasted the salty and fresh taste of this preserved egg, and I didn't feel any discomfort. Everyone was talking. At this time, Takumi Aldini next to him really collapsed. The inner shadow area intensifies again. I thought I could turn over, but I never thought that I lost to Lin Fan again. But not to be outdone, he strode over and contributed more to Lin Fan. Picking up the siumai, I can't wait to eat it into my mouth, wanted to find out. However, just as the upper and lower teeth are biting the siumai, and the teeth feel the tenderness of the shrimp. Clap, clap, clap. The shrimp roe and the shrimp slip was instantly bitten. This tastes like dancing on the tip of the tongue is really delicious. Here comes the preserved egg with a hint of saltiness. It's delicious. This siumai is delicious. I enjoy the feeling of the crab seeds bursting in my mouth. This xiaomai, this 3-egg xiaomai, can I say that it has reached the pinnacle of xiaomai? It really is Lin Fan's best Chinese cooking method. I really admire it. At this time, Aldini was eating with a face full of intoxication. The younger brother Isami came to hear the news and was horrified when he saw his brother like this. At this time, Takumi Aldini had long since lost the previous Sundara. Facing Lin Fan, his eyes were full of envy and admiration. This gap is too big. Isami can't believe it, thinking that his brother is evil. And this time, the guests on the side gathered around one after another. A fuse was a little girl. Seeing that she saw the xiaomai, she stepped forward, smiled, and got a portion, and ate one. Just a short moment. This little girl is almost dancing. Delicious, delicious xiaomai. The food in the mouth seems to be alive. They are dancing. Delicious. However, even more surprising is the child's mother. Seeing the little girl happily eating xiaomai, I was surprised, delighted, and moved. The woman looked at Lin Fan and exclaimed, "This xiaomai. It's amazing, isn't it? My daughter has anorexia recently. It's been a while, and she hasn't had a good meal. Not to mention taking the initiative to find food and eating it so happily. This xiaomai. Amazing, simply amazing." Saying that, the woman stepped forward and asked, "Classmate, does her family have a store? Where's the store? Can I pre-order today?" When the little girl heard that she wanted to make a reservation, she clapped her hands even more happily. A crowd of onlookers, seeing such a situation, hurriedly swarmed over. "Give me a taste." And mine, I'll have a taste too." How can there be such a magical taste? Wow, I really didn't lie. It's really delicious. It's delicious enough to fly. I feel like I'm flying in the sky at the moment. And at this moment, Nikiri Arena was separated by 2 cooking counters. She is proudly selling her dishes one by one. There are already 380 copies. Soon, it won't be long before the 200 copies will be filled. And there will even be a lot more. However, at this time, several diners rushed over and bumped into one of the diners in front of Arena. Seeing the man who bumped into the man, he turned around and said anxiously, "I'm sorry. I'm too anxious. I won't be able to catch up with the simmered wheat made by that classmate." The diners who were hit were stunned, but seeing a bunch of people, they all started to crowd in front of Lin Fan's cooking table, even started to snatch it up. In the blink of an eye, all the diners on Nikiri Arena's side disappeared without a trace. Shocked, completely shocked. The vendors in the audience, one by one, ran towards the Lin Fan cooking table. It is no exaggeration to say that at this moment, all the diners in the big hall were crowded into the Lin Fan cooking area. There are no diners in the cooking area of other students. In just half an hour, Lin Fan has released 280 copies. But only after just a few minutes, the record was refreshed again. At this time, the broadcast record has been stuck on the score of director Lin Fan. Lin Fan, District A, successfully launched 300 dishes. Nikiri Irina shocked. Such a fast speed has already surpassed her. Another minute passed. Lin Fan, District A, successfully launched 400 dishes. Lin Fan, District A, successfully launched 500 dishes. Lin Fan, District A, successfully launched 800 dishes. In 10 minutes, the assessment will be over, the director said excitedly. Congratulations to Lin Fan for successfully launching 1,000 dishes. Gosh, he's amazing. He broke Tsuki's all-time record. And this record may become Tsuki's glory. At this moment, all the students present were shocked. This kind of thing is really too mystical. At this moment, in their eyes, Lin Fan is a godlike existence. At this time, Tadakuro Megumi said excitedly, "Lin-san is as strong as ever." Then he whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for helping me grow up, and with your support and encouragement in front of me, I became more confident. So, you can stay in Tsuki and pass today's assessment." Mito Ikumi also came over and said with a smile, "Indeed. This guy is really strong. Thank you. Thank you for starting the Black Kirin Research Association, which inspired me to cook today and was well received. Nikiri Arena. This guy is really strong. I suddenly have the urge to ask him to help me try the dishes." Cute dividing line chapter 60 for the man named Shura. One more, please order first. This hellish training camp finally ended in everyone's exhaustion. In the eyes of other students, this training camp was almost a life-threatening event. But with Lin Fan, it's okay. Apart from lack of sleep, there is no other stress. Next morning, all students have to go back by bus. On the way back to Tsuki, Lin Fan reminded Yukihira SMA not to drop things. However, it was only when he got into the car that he realized that it was Lin Fan himself who had left the thing. In desperation, he went back to the room to get it. On the way, by coincidence, I met Nikiri Arena's little cousin, Nakiri Alice. It was nothing, just passing by face to face. Lin Fan ignored her and passed her by calmly. Suddenly, Nakiri Alice stopped, turned back, and looked at Lin Fan. By the way, you're Lin Fan, a freshman who recently made a name for himself in Totsuki. It was unexpected and broke Totsuki's all-time record. I heard it was you who changed Irina's behavior. 35 Nakiri Alice Sundara said. As expected of the surname Nakiri, Lin Fan felt that the way the two sisters spoke was indecent. So he turned his head and said, "This classmate, are you free? If you have a lot of spare time, you might as well spend this time studying cooking. If you are unconvinced and want to come and try cooking with me, you should ask my secretary to see if there is time. But I have always loved world peace and am not very willing to bully girls. But if you have to rush to be humiliated, it's okay, but not now. I'm in a hurry." 99 After Lin Fan finished speaking, he turned to leave. Nakiri Alice was taken aback. Unexpectedly, this guy Lin Fan really has a vicious tongue. Suddenly, Nakiri Alice blushed and said suddenly, "UBD, what I'm trying to say is, I'm curious about your society. The places that interest Irina must be interesting." Lin Fan was stunned and turned around. At this moment, the one in front of me was Alice of Princess Tsundere a minute ago. He suddenly seemed to have changed his personality, and his way of speaking was a little childish. Seeing her pouting, she stepped forward angrily. "It sounds like you're complaining. That nasty guy has always looked like a queen since he was a child. You have to rob me of everything, even the toys I liked when I was a child. As long as I liked them, they would be robbed by her. The cake I made was called Unpalatable by this damn it guy. So, I not only want to surpass her, but even what she is interested in, I want to take back together." Nakiri Alice rants wildly. This is probably the shadow of childhood. Lin Fan said calmly, turned his head, and walked away. Seeing this, Nakiri Alice exaggeratedly said, "Hey, you guy, what's going on? I haven't finished yet. That guy Irina." Suddenly, at the corner of the corridor, Nakiri Irina's voice appeared. Lin Fan's subconscious reaction, famous scene. I saw Nakiri Irina holding her hands, still with a cold attitude. Walking in front of Alice, Lin Fan didn't know what the two of them said, because he's going to catch the bus. However, when it came out, it was still a step too late. The bus didn't wait a minute for him, and it had already left. This means that you have to find a way to get back to Totsuki yourself. However, when nothing could be done, the familiar voice was still behind the voice. "Hey, seeing that you can't leave for the time being, I'm kind enough to take you for a ride." Nakiri Irina pretended to be indifferent. While talking, a black luxury car stopped in front of Lin Fan. The driver got out of the car and said politely, "Miss Irina, please get in the car," said, and opened the door. Irina, still looking like Tsundere, stepped forward with her arms in her arms and said, "What are you looking at? Get in the car." 39, just about to get into the car. Suddenly, a figure with a whoosh got into the car before Irina. "It's Nakiri Alice." Nakiri Irina was stunned. "Hey, what are you doing? Come out for me." However, behind Lin Fan, Kurakiba Ryo also shouted, "Miss, our car is here." Nakiri Alice smiled indifferently. "It's okay. I'll take Irina's car back today. Talk to my cousin well and cultivate sisterhood, won't you?" Seeing this, Nakiri Irina seemed to be unable to drive her little cousin out of the car. Didn't say anything. Lin Fan sat in the co-pilot very wisely. Along the way, Nakiri Alice was like a chatterbox and never stopped. It's different from seeing Princess Tsundere at first sight. Compared to Irina, this little cousin puts her emotions on her face. Nakiri Irina never paid any attention to Alice and let her talk to herself. Also warned Lin Fan, don't pay attention to her. It wasn't until Alice said something seriously that it caught Irina's attention. Nakiri Alice put away her joking attitude and said, "This semester will be over soon. After the freshman training camp, the next big event. Fall trials. Don't worry, I won't lose to the two of you guys, especially Irina," Nakiri Irina said indifferently. "We'll see." Afterwards, Nakiri Alice resumed her smile and said, "Lin Fan, classmate. After this training camp, there will be consecutive breaks, and then I will go to the Black Unicorn Club to find you to play." 35 Nakiri Irina rolled her eyes at Alice, and said nothing. Nakiri Alice talked all the way and finally arrived at the school. Lin Fan got out of the car and took a long breath. I have never been so tired from cooking continuously, and no one is tired from listening to people talking. After a quick farewell, Lin Fan returned to Polar Star Dorm. Polar Star Dorm Lin Fan was still in the courtyard, and he could smell the aroma of cooking. However, this cooking doesn't belong to Granny Wenshu, and it doesn't belong to anyone in Polar Star Dorm. Looks like a new face is coming. Squeak. Opening the door, the aroma became stronger. Walking to the kitchen, I saw a bunch of people in the kitchen. Yukihira SMA's expression seemed confused. In front of the cooking table, a man with a waist was standing, cooking. When everyone saw that Lin Fan was back, they laughed and said, "Ah, you can be considered to be back. Tonight we have a good time. This is Senior Jicher, Yukihira's father." Lin Fan was stunned. Granny Wenshu explained. He is also a member of Polar Star Dorm, and he is the second seat of Totsuki Elite 10. 35, the golden age of Polar Star Dorm was when they started it. Jicher has shown his skills in the world's famous stores and has the title of Wandering Chef. And he has another nickname. That is Shura, the man who once picked 50 today. The strength is very strong. When you come back this time, if there is anything you don't understand, you can ask him for advice. 99 Lin Fan said casually, "So suddenly?" Leaned over and said helplessly, "It was so sudden, I just found out." Then, Jicher's eyes fell on Lin Fan. "Are you Lin Fan? It's only the first semester, and already Tsuki has made a name for itself. Goodly good. And it is said that he ate a halberd in private with Shinomiya Kojiro and won. You know, Shinomiya Kojiro is an elite graduate, and also a very rich and very famous chef. You can beat him." 9. Lin Fan scratched his forehead and said with a smile, "It's okay, it's okay. Actually, he's not as strong as he thought." Wow. The Polar Star Dorm members were shocked. Yoshino Yuki whispered, "This is a senior. You can't keep a low profile. How can you ask him for advice?" 35 Lin Fan smiled. When Jicher heard this, he was stunned. Unexpectedly, Lin Fan's temperament is exactly as he heard, very confident. This is also the main purpose of his visit this time. So, Jicher smiled and said, "Since it can make Si Gong suffer a loss, then the cooking skills should be at the level of professional chefs. How about it, kid? Would you dare to try it with me while making dinner?" Cute dividing line, Chapter 65 Dare to learn from the strongest man in history. 2 more for subscription. When Jicher said these words, everyone present was stunned. Yukihira SMA exclaimed, "Hey Dad, you're crazy." 35. Even though Lin Fan is currently at Tsuki and has a high level of cooking, it would be ridiculous to say that. Why? He is always a freshman in the first year of the higher department. Don't you think it is too much for you to make such a request? What's the point of winning? Jicher smiled indifferently and said, "What's the problem with this? You used to be at home. Didn't you often compete with me?" 39. Furthermore, who have lost 500 games, don't think there is any problem. Yukihira SMA retorted, "It's 489 times. And isn't that the same thing?" 35. That's because I didn't know your true identity before. I'm talking. It's a showdown between our father and son. Isn't it the same as this? 55 foot, you are clearly bullying now. Jicher smiled and retorted, "Really? I don't think there is anything wrong with this. He even dared to challenge the fourth palace. Why didn't he dare to try it? And I'm also curious about where the strength of this young man is. Is it as strong as the rumors? Or is it just because Tsuki has fallen and the threshold for the strong has become lower?" 99. As I said, this is just a random discussion. No one will say anything. Lin Fan has been standing by and listening silently. After seeing Jicher finish speaking, he smiled and said, Senior Tsaibwa, I am very willing to accept your challenge invitation." 99, after all, in their mouths, you are the strongest man in history. Then, let me come to 007 to handle one of the dishes for everyone's dinner. 99, everyone here is a judge. How's it going? Exactly. The members of Polar Star Dorm add exactly 7. And Granny Wenshu will be a notary. How about that? Jicher laughed. First of all, let's talk about it here. 35. I've already changed my name to Yukihira, so you can call me Yukihira or Jitcher.35. Secondly, I agree with your suggestion. 35. Then let the notary, mother-in-law Wensu, come up with a theme. Seeing this, Granny Wenshu shook her head and said, after so many years, your aggressiveness really hasn't changed at all. Fine. Since Polar Star Dorm is playing behind closed doors, I'll be the notary for you. I think about the subject. For me, now older, I want to eat light. 95. Especially now that it's night again. Even if you're too full after a happy meal, it's easier to digest. 35. Then the theme is easy to digest and light dishes. How about it? Jitcher agreed with Lin Fan. Afterwards, all the members of Polar Star Dorm silently stood in the kitchen. I want to witness this historic moment with my own eyes. Lin Fan stepped forward calmly, tied his waist, and said with a smile, Senior Jitcher, please show your strength. Don't be polite to me. Yukihira Jitcher laughed. Boy, you think too much, even if you're facing SMA. I've never let up either. 35. Since this test was initiated by me, then I have to do my best. This is respect for the opponent. Lin Fan nodded. Looking at the kitchen, there are too many ingredients to count. However, Lin Fan and Yukihira Jitcher both walked to the flour at the same time. What's even more surprising is that the two of them reached out to the same bag of flour at the same time. Seeing this, mother-in-law Wensu exclaimed, the two of you actually thought of using the block? Flour. When making flour-based dishes, the taste is really clear and easy to digest. I'm really looking forward to what these two can do. I have to say, Lin Fan, this kid, always surprises me. 35. The two immediately entered the state. Start meeting. Tadakuro Megumi said calmly. It looks like you two are going to make handmade noodles. Ishiki Satoshi also replied. It should be inseparable. 35. Yukihira SMA reluctantly said. What two uneasy guys. One dares to speak. One dares to promise. Dad, this is obviously bullying people. Until this moment, Yukihira SMA still felt that Lin Fan had no chance to win over his father. Of course, this is the subconscious reaction of everyone. But everyone was not talking, watching silently. However, on Jitcher's side, vegetarian vegetables and fruits are the main ingredients, because he has not seen him use meat ingredients for the time being. Lin Fan suddenly caught everyone's attention. I saw that Lin Fan started to work hard on the noodles, holding the noodles in his hands and pulling hard at both ends. The soft face agent is stretched lightly and instantly. Afterwards, see Lin Fan fold the two sides in half and then habitually beat it hard on the chopping board. Bang, a muffled sound. Surprised by Jitcher, who was processing the ingredients, he looked back. The stretched noodles look very pliable. Lin Fan strikes with moderate strength, just right. After the dough is pulled apart, the ratio of length to thickness is just right. This also makes it possible to have a good grasp of the width of the ramen in the following repeated beatings and buckling. In the following time, Lin Fan began to operate repeatedly. One bite after another, stretch the ramen repeatedly, snap back, and stretch. The purpose is to make the ramen thinner. Seeing this, Ishiki Satoshi squinted and smiled. I didn't expect that Lin Fan could actually make noodles by hand. This should be considered one of the most representative Chinese dishes. I suddenly thought of an old acquaintance who has a very deep knowledge of noodle cooking. Guess what would happen if he saw it? Will they be as shocked as we are? 35. Before the words were finished, the others did not have time to respond to Ishiki Satoshi. Seeing Lin Fan's next-second action, everyone was even more stunned. I thought that the noodles he was pulling in his hands were ready to serve. But what he didn't expect was that they continued to stretch. Ishiki Satoshi's originally squinted eyes suddenly widened, and he said in surprise, "What's the situation? Aren't you ready to put in the pot? Does this mean it's going to continue?" After seeing the mother-in-law Wensu, she even exclaimed, "No way. According to my understanding, ordinary ramen noodles with normal fineness are about 7 buttons. As for Lin Fan at the moment, I see that he has already pulled 9 buttons, which is already relatively small. 39, but this guy has pulled up to 11 buckles. Is this the limit?" Granny Wensu sighed. However, the next second, Lin Fan smiled and said, "No, I'm still far from my limit." Then, another back and forth. $12, $13, $15. Everyone was shocked. Even Yukihira Jicher, who was preparing to finish the ramen, was so shocked that his jaws could not close. This guy. What's going on? Look at the skills and proficiency of this ramen, and there are experts to give advice. Yukihira Jicher muttered. Then, Lin Fan then buckled. The crowd took a deep breath. Yoshino Yuki clapped his hands and exclaimed, "I just said that Lin Fan is very strong. It's already the 17th deduction. Extreme ramen." Everyone's eyes didn't blink. Yukihira Jicher had already put down the dough in his hand. At the moment, Lin Fan seems to be doing a wonderful performance. He didn't want to miss such an opportunity, and even wanted to ask, who is his teacher? However, from the beginning to the end, Lin Fan's face did not change. His heart was not beating, and his face was calm. As if this all makes sense. When he pulled the 20th button, everyone subconsciously made a saliva gesture. Lin Fan smiled. "Actually, I can continue to pull it down, but for the sake of the taste of my noodle soup, let's go here." 35, Senior Jicher, "Don't stop and watch if I cook the ramen. This dish will be ready in no time." Lin Fan smiled calmly. Only then did Yukihira Jicher react. Embarrassedly nodded. "Only then did I pull up the dough in my hand, and when I was preparing the ramen, I suddenly felt..." He is like an amateur ramen player, showing off his sense of sight in front of professionals. How can there be such pressure? Obviously, the other party is just a child. Yukihira Jicher didn't think much of it and calmly handled the ramen in his hands. But from the beginning to the end, the scene of Lin Fan's ramen was still lingering in his mind. 10 minutes later, under the shock of the crowd, the two ramen dishes were made almost at the same time. Yukihira Jicher and Lin Fan placed bowls of steaming ramen in front of the crowd. Everyone put their heads together at the same time. Chapter 66, Absolutely Delicious Chinese Ramen. 3 more subscriptions. Everyone quickly put their heads together. First, let's take a look at Lin Fan's ramen. The noodles are as thin as hair, floating in the clear soup. Just sprinkle some chopped green onion on top. After getting close, the fragrance of the chopped green onion was already tingling on the nostrils. Granny Wensu said in surprise, "This is too powerful, isn't it? It looks just a bowl of ordinary noodles, and there are no extra fancy side dishes, a few chopped green onions, and a few pieces of green vegetables. But how can I be so hungry just looking at it?" Lin Fan smiled and said, "Yes, this is the magic of Chinese noodles. It can make people burst with joy after eating it. 99, it can also be eaten by people. The post-meeting is full. 99, sometimes fresh and delicious, sometimes intriguing. This is the charm of Chinese noodles. There are many types, many flavors, and strong choices, and you can always find a noodle that suits you. And this bowl of clear soup noodles, that's how it exists. Specially prepared for those who understand greasy, suitable for clear mouth, and easy to digest." Granny Wensu nodded and replied, "Amazing, really awesome." Then, everyone turned to Yukihira Jicher's ramen. Compared with Lin Fan's clear soup noodles, this bowl of Jicher's ramen noodles looks much richer. Granny Wensu frowned immediately and said, "It's very strange. According to Jicher's experience, it is impossible to stray from the topic." 35, but this bowl of noodle soup looks so rich and greasy. Yukihira Jicher smiled confidently. "What you see is not necessarily true if you don't believe it. And Wensu can try it." Wensu originally wanted to try Lin Fan's clear soup noodles first, but he said so out of Jicher's words. Out of curiosity, I picked up this bowl of noodles from Jicher. When he picked up the bowl, he subconsciously smelled it and said, "Here, is the grapefruit rubbed in here?" Jicher didn't say a word, just smiled, pretending to be mysterious. "Pick up a small amount and eat in your mouth. Chew carefully." When Sue was surprised, "Hey, looking at such a rich soup, it actually makes me want to continue eating it involuntarily." As he said that, the others around him also became curious. This bowl of ramen from Jicher was the first to be served. A little suck in the mouth. Others began to subconsciously and unconsciously hold one chopstick after another. when Sue swallowed the noodles and took another sip of the soup base. It was only then that I realized the soup base is made of soy milk and Coke-flavored miso, but can you make such a rich taste with just these two things? Impossible. Tadakoro Megumi and others even nodded while eating. It was so delicious that I didn't even have the time to speak. Yukihira Jitcher laughs. I used old alocasia, which is rich in flavor, smooth after cooking, and very sticky. 35. Grate them into mashed taro and add them to the soup. This way, the soup base will have a very strong richness. 35. But in fact, it tastes fresh and not greasy at all. Sahue ate the ramen in one breath and sighed. There is sour and ginger oil in it, and it warms the body after eating. In this season that intersects with summer, the evenings are slightly chilly. 35. Eating this bowl of noodle soup can warm up your body quickly. It's just perfect. Granny Wenshu continued. Yes, there are toppings on it. 99. It's also a test of the chef's delicacy. Lotus root, burdock are sliced and fried to crispy. Kakaka Granny Wenshu took a bite. Oh my god, this crunchy texture is worthy of Shura's cooking skills. Like a side dish in French cuisine, every ingredient is properly cooked. 99. Perfect, simply perfect. However, Ishiki Satoshi, who was on the side, was so moved that he seemed to fly. Vegetarian stock. There is no fish and meat to make such a delicious and rich soup base. Flying, so delicious that it flew. Yoshino Yuki, Tadakoro Megumi, even more crazy. The whole kitchen was filled with exclamations. All be blown away by this bowl of ramen from Yukihira Jitcher. Yukihira SMA on the side was completely stunned. Before that, his father was just someone who liked to compete with him in cooking since he was 6 years old. It never occurred to me that he was such a great cook. The dishes may be admired by everyone after eating them. This may be the difference between him and his father. He was looking at Lin Fan next to him again. No matter how good Lin Fan's cooking skills were, he couldn't surpass his father's. Super rich fresh soup ramen without fish. It's an unsurpassed classic. Yukihira SMA thought about it. However, at this time, everyone turned their attention to Lin Fan's bowl of clear soup noodles. Granny Wenshu couldn't help but say, this matchup is inherently unfair. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it was Jitcher's guidance game to Lin Fan. 39. Right now, after we have eaten such a rich ramen, it is definitely not dominant for Lin Fan's bowl of clear soup noodles. However, this is also a teaching for the younger generation, saying that Granny Wenshu took the lead to bring out the noodles in clear soup. Added a pinch to it. On the noodles, the heat exuded, with the fragrance of vegetables and an irresistible fragrance. Take one bite into your mouth. Click, crack. Granny Wenshu was suddenly shocked. Like an electric shock, his body trembled instantly. Then, seeing her slowly refuse. Every bite is so carefully chewed. This could not help but confuse people. Jitcher was also curious, picked up a bowl, and ate it in his mouth. Kakaka, his reflection was the same as that of mother-in-law Wenshu. Next, the others followed closely with shocked expressions. Yukihira Jitcher, who took a long time to react, looked at the soup noodles carefully again. I saw small particles floating on the noodles and the soup base. Yukihira Jitcher exclaimed, it's shrimp roe. Lin Fan nodded with a calm smile. After Tadakoro Megumi swallowed a mouthful, his flushed cheeks moved and said, first of all, the shrimp roe attached to the noodles burst open one by one after eating it. The fresh and salty taste goes well with the ramen noodles. However, this is the ultimate cue play. After eating it, my body seemed to be bound by the noodles. 35. The taste buds were so caught up in them that I had to just surrender to this noodle soup. As for flour 00, and the shrimp roe is simply and quickly pickled after being freshly taken out. I enjoy the bursting of the prawn roe in my taste buds. It's delicious, really delicious, and it's two completely different styles from the ramen of Jitcher Senpai. In an instant, Tadakoro Megumi suddenly entered a state of bursting clothes without warning. She felt like her whole body was flying, wrapped in shrimp roe, and then feel the feeling of shrimp roe bursting. Yoshino Yuki, this lively girl. After taking the first bite, it was already a neat burst of clothing. I saw her taking a few big mouthfuls, eating all the noodles in the clear soup, and then holding the soup bowl. She was very emotional. It's so delicious, it's so delicious. I don't know if I should say it or not, although the ramen of Senior Jitcher is also very good, but I love this bowl of Lin Fan even more. Shrimp roe. Countless shrimp roes are floating around, and my whole head is full of images of shrimp roe bursting into pulp. I'm swimming in the pulp. Ishiki Satoshi even more. He had only a loincloth, and he was about to burst at the moment. Whoosh, it was stopped by Lin Fan. Otherwise, it would be horrible. Lin Fan laughed. Ishishi senpai, you have to make a serious comment. 39 Ishiki. Satoshi woke up instantly and exclaimed, "It's really clear soup noodles." I thought for a while that it was really just a clear noodle soup made from noodle soup. After all, this soup is absolutely crystal clear. However, what I didn't expect is that it could be so fresh and refreshing. Shrimp roe. I can't refuse this shrimp roe. At this time, when everyone focused on the shrimp roe, Yukihira father and son, their focus is on ramen. Hand-pulled noodles by Lin Fan. Yukihira Jitcher said calmly. Even if it is as thin as a hair, after the entrance, you can still clearly feel the cube bomb of the noodles. Noodles like this are so thin that they should melt in your mouth. However, Yukihira SMA exclaimed, but it doesn't. This ramen has a toughness, and this is the best. In order to pull out such noodles, every aspect of the ramen must be controlled within seconds. Otherwise, as soon as you put it in the pot, it will become a pot of soup lake. But this young man did it. This is a bowl. I feel like I'm sweating after eating it. 95. Speaking of which, Yukihira Jitcher said calmly, "Young man, you are really strong. I admit that my ramen is not as good as yours in this round of competition." 95. Wow, everyone is shocked. Yukihira SMA was surprised. How is it possible? Granny Wensu wondered why. I think these two dishes should be evenly divided. If you have to choose one bowl, then among us odd-numbered people, whoever prefers which bowl will win. But that's entirely a matter of personal taste. If it were me, I think the two bowls of noodle soup are really indistinguishable. Yukihira Jitcher shook his head and replied, "It's not like that. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures." Chapter 67 request from Yukihira SMA. Yukihira Jitcher shook his head and said, "It's not like that. Lin Fan's dish, the focus is on the ramen itself." 99. Leave the taste aside. In hand-pulled noodles, I can say responsibly without his skills. 39. Wow, everyone was surprised. This was spoken by Jitcher himself. You know, this is the second seat of Xinjiang's Tsuki. With Dojima Jin, the current head chef of Tsuki Hotel, who was a classmate of the same period, his strength is even higher than him. Such a person actually opened his mouth to a freshman in high school, saying that his skills were not as good as him. Fortunately, this is private. If it is said in public, I am afraid it will cause a sensation in the food circle. Yukihira SMA swallowed subconsciously. Until this moment, he didn't know the gap between himself and Lin Fan. It's really not that big. Yukihira Jitcher saw his son's surprised expression, walked over, and patted his shoulder. "Is it right for you to come here? There are people outside the mountains, and there are people outside the mountains. Here, you can learn a lot of new things. It's just having a roommate as strong as Lin Fan with you. He can also teach you a lot of knowledge you don't know." 007 with him. I'm relieved too. Yukihira Jitcher said it very seriously. It took a long time for everyone to completely digest these words. After dinner, Lin Fan went to help Ishiki Satoshi in the Polar Star vegetable garden. And come back with those vegetables and fruits, by the way. However, Yukihira Jitcher stopped Lin Fan. Lin Fan turned around and saw him walking up slowly, alone. Yukihira Jitcher came up, thought about it, and said, "Actually, I have an unkind request." 35. Lin Fan didn't hesitate and replied, "I guess it has something to do with SMA." Jitcher was surprised, stunned, and nodded. Then he continued, "You are very powerful. I want to ask you, can you take care of Tsukimura when he is?" Because I'm not with SMA. I can't think of a second person who is trustworthy and has outstanding strength at the moment. Certainly, if you encounter anything in the circle in the future, feel free to come to me. As long as it is within my ability, I will not refuse. Finally, please. Yukihira Jitcher suddenly straightened up and bowed 90 degrees. Very sincere attitude. As a senior with extraordinary strength in the circle, it is very difficult to reach this stage. Lin Fan nodded silently and replied, "Don't worry, senior. We are roommates and friends." Even under the special system of Tsuki's life, no matter what happens in the future, even if one day we meet with blades, we will also compete in an upright manner. Yukihira Jitcher smiled knowingly. Next morning, when Lin Fan woke up, she heard from Mother Winshu that Jitcher left early in the morning. It is worthy of being called a wandering chef. It is really haunted. Polar Star Dorm is much cleaner than usual today. Because of Lianhua, everyone went home. Lin Fan has nothing to do and is going to go to his Black Unicorn Research Society to sort out the recipes and write them down. There was only Lin Fan in the club, and it was very quiet. It's a very creative environment. Over and over again, Lin Fan wrote down all the recipes that came to his mind, and then experimented. Finally, in the summary, time just passed by little. During the holiday, Lin Fan is 2 o'clock and one line. Come to the club to study recipes at a fixed time and return to Polar Star Dorm at a fixed time. 3 days later, on this day, Lin Fan came to the club normally as usual. Pack everything up and remember today's recipes in your head. Jingle bell. Suddenly, the phone rang. When I picked it up, it turned out to be Yukihira SMA. Lin Fan was still very puzzled. How could this guy call himself? "Hey, pick up the phone," habitual onomatopoeia. On the other end of the phone, Yukihira SMA sounded anxious. Lin Fan, have you been busy lately? I'm at home now, but I've encountered some trouble. I thought, can I ask you for help? If you're not free, then forget it. There was some hesitation in Yukihira SMA's words. Obviously want to ask Lin Fan to help, but because of politeness, do not want to trouble people. Lin Fan smiled and said, "What are you talking about? If it's within my power, as a member of Polar Star Dorm, I'm definitely within my power." Upon hearing this, Yukihira SMA immediately became interested. "It's just, my family's new small restaurant, which is currently on this commercial street, is not doing well. If it goes on like this, it will face a forced takeover. So, I want to ask you, is there any good way? If possible, can we talk face to face?" Yukihira SMA probed carefully. Lin Fan looked at the time and thought that the holiday was coming to an end, so he couldn't go out for a while. With the attitude of going out to relax, he immediately agreed to Yukihira SMA. "There is still time today. You send me the address, and I will go there now." Yukihira SMA streak, thank you. After hanging up the phone, Lin Fan received the address of the commercial street where Yukihira's shop is located. Lin Fan simply packed up and set off immediately. A commercial street. Lin Fan stood outside the commercial street, looking at the empty street inside. It can only be said that Yukihira SMA's description is relatively mild. This commercial street has no business at all, and there is no popularity at all. If someone who doesn't know it passes by, I'm afraid they think this street is deserted. Lin Fan checked his phone again, walked into the commercial street, and looked for Yukihira Restaurant. Along the way, shop owners on both sides of the road were so excited that they saw strangers coming in, and they rushed out to watch. I thought it was my own shop. It can be seen that the shop owners in this street have to be troubled. After walking for a while, at a corner of the street, Lin Fan arrived at his destination. A small restaurant with a sign that says Yukihira Small Restaurant. Lin Fan walked in. "Welcome," the sensor outside the door beeped 0. In the restaurant, there were 4 middle-aged men sitting at the middle table. There is no energy, and he is sitting there with his head down, sighing and shaking his head from time to time. He's lost his mind to the point of deafness. However, at the bar, Yukihira SMA immediately became excited when she saw that it was Lin Fan. "Hey, all shopkeepers, don't hang your head anymore. The helper I called has arrived." Yukihira SMA walked out to greet Lin Fan as she spoke. At this time, the 4 men seemed to have found a life-saving herb. Their eyes lit up and they looked back. See, Lin Fan is just the same age as Yukihira SMA. It was inevitable that he had some doubts and said, is it really possible? Yukihira SMA patted her chest and replied, "This is my classmate at Totsuki Academy. Don't look at us all still students. He is quite powerful. Even though he was only a freshman in high school, his cooking when he entered school was praised by the tongue of God. 99, that's not enough. And during the freshman training camp, he privately competed with the elite chefs who graduated from January and won the competition. The key is that he made 1,000 dishes, successfully breaking the highest record in the history of Tsuki. Anyway, this classmate is amazing. His name is Lin Fan." The shopkeepers heard the light of hope again in their eyes. One of the bosses exclaimed, "The tongue of God is the one who is very famous in the food industry. How many high-end restaurants have to invite people to try the food in line?" Yukihira SMA nodded. The four men looked at Lin Fan with surprise. At this point, Yukihira SMA continued. "So, with his help, it was a piece of cake to defeat the Mozuya Fried Chicken Shop. 3566. The four shopkeepers nodded wildly. Lin Fan was puzzled and asked, "Mozuya Chicken Nugget Shop? Is that the fried chicken nugget shop that has been very popular for 2 years?" 35 Yukihira SMA nodded, then said, "Yes, that's the fried chicken nugget shop. You should have noticed when 0.0 came. A new station has been built across this commercial street. There's a new store at the station, right there, and the Mozu house is there. It turns out that the commercial street is very prosperous, and since the chicken nugget shop opened, the traffic has become less and less. So much so that there is a crisis now. If it can't be solved in time and the flow of people in the commercial street can be restored, these shops will not be able to continue. Some stores will also be forced to buy, so I called you here this time, just to ask you to help me with an idea." Without hesitation, Lin Fan replied subconsciously, "Then make a delicious food that can beat the Mozuya Fried Chicken restaurant." Yukihira SMA nodded hurriedly. "Yes, we all think so." 35. "That's why I found you. After all, your cooking skills are now recognized by everyone, and our opponent is the store that has been the sales champion for 3 consecutive years. So we can't be sloppy." Lin Fan smiled calmly. "Hey, this is simple. Where is that chicken nugget shop? Take me to see." Chapter 68. The boss of the fried chicken nugget shop taunts Yukihira SMA took Lin Fan to the fried chicken nugget shop at the station. When Lin Fan came here just now, he didn't notice that the newly built station was still relatively large. Lin Fan said as he walked, "It's no wonder that there is no business in the commercial street opposite the door. In such a big store, you can get whatever you want in it. Just get out of the car." That must have come here. The guests are unwilling to wait for a traffic light and cross a zebra crossing to the opposite side. That is understandable. Yukihira SMA sighed. But that commercial street is everyone's home. We have to defend to the end. Lin Fan smiled and said, "So isn't this me? Trust me, we're going to open a chicken nugget shop that's even hotter than him. But the premise is that I have to go and see what kind of fried chicken the Mozu house has and what kind of recipe they use. After all, I've only heard the name, but I haven't eaten it." Yukihira SMA was surprised. "You can know the recipe just by looking at it? So smart." Lin Fan smiled. Entering the store, it is on the first floor. It was so lively, all the guests, when they got off the auto show, would automatically turn into the store no matter what happened. At this time, at a distance of about 100 meters, Lin Fan saw that there was a huge crowd of people in front of the shop. 0.8-inch Mozuya chicken nuggets right up front. 35. Looking at the long-running team, you can guess it. Lin Fan muttered casually. So I stepped up my pace and came to the door of the Mozu's house. The decoration style of the fried chicken nugget shop is relatively simple. From the inside to the outside, there are discount sets of fried chicken nuggets hanging. There is a faint, but also the strong aroma of fried chicken nuggets. At this moment, a cheerful shout came into Lin Fan's ears. "Welcome to Mozu House Chicken Nuggets. Guests passing by, don't miss it. Guests come in and have a taste, freshly baked fried chicken nuggets. Now you can buy a set of 12 for a great discount." Lin Fan took a look and stood outside the door, a woman with a ponytail and work clothes. At the moment, he is holding a fan and shouting with a smile. Upon seeing this, Yukihira SMA said, "She is the manager and owner of Mozuya Fried Chicken. 99. Her name is Nakamoko Silk, and this shop first originated in Kansai. The reason this fried chicken nugget shop is so famous is because she has been the top seller for 3 consecutive years." Later, in relation to Kyoto, several branches were opened. Every time I open a branch, I personally come to the store to shout at the platform. This time is no exception, and even people in the industry say that this year's Golden Rooster Award will definitely go to the Moza House. Speaking of which, Yukihira SMA took a deep breath and said, "Because of the beautiful packaging, housewives and children are the majority." 99. Wait until after the evening. The traffic will be even greater. After all, it's reasonable to buy a fried chicken nugget when you come back from get off work. However, there are also many people who come to buy it by car. 39. Yukihira SMA sighed again and said, "So, our opponent is really strong." 35. After all, their formulas have been improved after many years of continuous research and development, and this is what they are today. We want to imitate it 1-to-1 in a short period of time. Not to mention to surpass the Moza House. Hey, Mr. Lin Fan, do you really have a way? Yukihira SMA is somewhat mourning. It was the first time that Lin Fan had seen him like this. So he smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'm going out in person. It's just a fried chicken nugget. I not only copied it 101, but also made several models that surpassed him. Wouldn't that be enough?" Yukihira SMA took a deep breath and looked at Lin Fan in surprise. This is too arrogant. However, at this time, the middle Mozu Silk, half covering his face with a fan, smiled and said, "The 2 little guests are here to buy fried chicken. We have a great deal for the opening of the store, and there are many discounted packages, and there's so many flavors to choose from." Lin Fan walked silently to the fried chicken counter. Inside the glass case are all kinds of fried chicken models. Spicy, extra spicy, original, salt, and pepper. There are many flavors, giving customers a lot of choices. Lin Fan sniffed it carefully, and he couldn't draw out any ingredients that he felt. Probably know what the recipe is. As soon as Lin Fan turned around, he saw that Mozu Silk was already standing behind Lin Fan. And with a meaningful smile on his face, he said, "Little guest, it doesn't look like you're here to buy fried chicken nuggets." I haven't waited for Lin Fan to reply. Zhong Mozu looked at Yukihira SMA again and said with a smile, "You are one of the shopkeepers in the opposite commercial street." "Kid." Yukihira SMA was surprised. Middle Mizuka chuckled lightly. "Why are you so sneaky? Isn't it okay to just stand in line? Say, 33, would you like to try it?" 39, the middle Mozu Silk said, and took a box from his staff to try it. Yukihira SMA was stunned. However, Lin Fan unceremoniously picked up a piece and ate it in his mouth. As soon as you enter it, the tender and juicy chicken instantly pours out from the deep-fried crispy batter. It has to be said that this restaurant is indeed one of the few in the current fried chicken nuggets. Moreover, the person who made the recipe must be a great veteran. At this time, Mo Zichuan suddenly laughed and said, "Little guest, do you know why our fried chicken nuggets are so delicious? Because we use native chicken from Omi. That breed of chicken is the most advanced breed that is fed with herbs. The most important thing is," the more and more Mo Zuseng said, the more excited he became, and he laughed. "The most important thing is the sauce for marinating the chicken nuggets. 35, that's Mozuya's secret sauce. As many as dozens of secret seasonings were finally mixed together. And after these years of improvement, the characteristics of the Mozu house have come into being. The Mozu Silk is proud of." Then, seeing her suddenly become arrogant, she said, "Our fried chicken nuggets, but the most powerful fried chicken nuggets on earth." However, Yukihira SMA asked calmly, "Boss, are you really sure you want to say it all? After all, you already know we are here to investigate the enemy situation." 39. When a Mozu Silk heard it, she covered her mouth with a fan and smiled even more brilliantly. "Ha ha ha, it doesn't matter, you can't do it anyway. So what does it matter if I say it or not? Ordinary commercial streets like yours have no special features, and in the end, they can only watch the loss of customers. When you feel a crisis, there is no way to keep your guests. For this, I really regret it, so what? I wouldn't care if you peaked at all. Mo Zhishuang glanced at Lin Fan and continued to laugh. I actually admire your courage. 99, don't you have the slightest bit of self-respect? To even come here so swaggeringly, so shamelessly talking about investigating the enemy's situation. It's pathetic enough. Lin Fan was about to speak, but Yukihira, SMA, snatched it away. Ma'am, if we were to make better fried chicken nuggets than here, I'm afraid the face of Mozu's house will be wiped out. At this moment, Moza Nakamura suddenly had a gloomy face and approached Yukihira, SMA. Stinky BD, just a stinky brat who can only talk big. Don't raise your price here. Small shops in the commercial street without any competitiveness are just waiting to be abandoned and eliminated from 007. Yukihira, SMA, gritted his teeth. Lin Fan was finally tired after listening to them bickering for a long time. So he walked in front of Mozu's silk and said, "The lady boss, don't be so absolute when you speak. There's no other meaning at all. But since you have already said it here, not as good as, shall we fight?" At this time, Lin Fan deliberately amplified the decibel. Therefore, it also successfully attracted the attention of the surrounding guests. Although the guests do not know the ins and outs of things. But when he heard that he was going to compete with Mozuya, he held the heart that the onlookers would not be busy. One of the diners raised his hand in approval and said, "Oh yeah, there are young people who dare to stand up to challenge the Moza house. Why don't you give it a try?" After hearing this, another diner replied, "What? To try?" Yes. The diners on the side came to be interested and talked about it. Huh, they want to try fried chicken nuggets? It's exciting. So be it. Is there any better fried chicken nugget in this world than Mozu's house? These two brats are too self-sufficient. I'm afraid I'm going to lose, but I still support their comparison. After all, it can further enhance the reputation of Mozuya. I heard it's on the opposite commercial street. That's it. Anyway, I support Moza House. Me too. The diners cheered. Zhong Mozu swayed his fan and said with a smile, "Thank you for your love and support. 35, I was thinking about it, but since these two little devils are so self-sufficient, as industry leaders, teach them a lesson. Let them have a long memory." Chapter 69, the most tender fried chicken combination in history. 6 more for subscription. All the onlookers were talking. But the vast majority of people are optimistic about Mozuya Fried Chicken. As a store that has won the sales champion for 3 consecutive years and won the Golden Rooster Award for 3 consecutive years, how could it be defeated by 2 little devils? Mozu Silk also has selfishness. She wanted to kill chickens to show the monkeys, and she wanted to be a lesson for the past. In this way, it can prevent those who are beyond their means in the future from coming to the door to make fun of themselves. Because Zhong Musu thinks that she is also very busy. So, both parties agreed. Lin Fan said calmly, "Then from the opening of the commercial street tomorrow, our contest officially begins. 5. It's been a day. How about whoever has the highest sales at 0 o'clock that night will win? If Mozuya loses, leave this area." Zhong Moza nodded and smiled. "No problem, although this is completely impossible. But I still allow you to have a mouthful. If you lose..." "Oh no," Zhong Mozu said with a long smile. "If your commercial street loses, then stop struggling and let the developer buy it directly. This kind of useless place should be freed up for more valuable things." 99 Lin Fan nodded and said with a smile, "A word is settled." After speaking, he turned around and walked away. When I came out of the mall, it was almost evening. I looked at the time. It was almost 5 o'clock. Yukihira SMA followed up with Lin Fan and said, "Although the promise was temporary, the problems we will face next are quite serious. 35, for example. The problem with the recipe and the supply of chicken. 39. We have to make the recipe and marinate the chicken before 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Otherwise," Lin Fan smiled and replied, "It's all under control. Let's go. Let's go back to the store first." 66-inch. Yukihira Bistro back in the restaurant. While Yukihira SMA was still confused, Lin Fan took out the phone and dialed. Hey you free now? 99. Then I'll send you the address. Come over now. I need your help with something. Probably about serving chicken. Okay, wait for you. Lin Fan hung up the phone, walked to the cooking counter, and said, Do you still have chicken nuggets in your store? Take it out, and I'll make a sample for you to try. 95 Yukihira SMA was a little stunned and passive from start to finish. Lin Fan does things neatly, and one person can control the whole scene. Yukihira SMA is also very willing to listen to him, so obediently took out the chicken nuggets. Lin Fan took the chicken nuggets, put them on the cutting board, closed his eyes, and started to recall. I recalled the taste of fried chicken nuggets I ate when I was at Mozuya, and smell the various flavors of fried chicken nuggets and start analyzing the ingredients. Yukihira SMA stood by, watching silently. At this time, the owners of other stores came to hear the news. Once inside, Yukihira SMA made a gesture for them to be quiet. The shopkeepers got nervous and crept back to their seats. At this time, the Yukihira restaurant was so quiet that only breathing could be heard. Countless dry ingredients, sauces, and fruit sauces flashed through Lin Fan's mind. After a while, Lin Fan opened his eyes and smiled at everyone. Afterwards, he counted the seasonings prepared by Yukihira SMA. Then, familiar movement, grabbed the apron and tied it. It was just a simple action, but it left a few shopkeepers stunned. Only a master with rich experience can have such courage and aura. Ti whoosh whoosh dong dong dong. Kakaka Lin Fan is skilled and spreads the seasoning on the chicken pieces little by little. Soy sauce, seasoning, juice. Divide them into portions according to the kind you smell at the Moza house and set aside. Soon, the chicken was all processed and marinated in plastic bags. Lin Fan laughed. Because this is just a trial, so there is no need to marinate for too long. When the finished product is ready, it will be marinated from tonight, and if it is tomorrow morning, the time will be just right. Don't worry, I'll make you the most tender fried chicken recipe ever. Yukihira SMA nodded excitedly, watching Lin Fan send the marinated chicken to the refrigerator. This is to speed up the marinating time. At this moment, the sensor outside the door rang. Mito Yumei appeared in everyone's eyes. Yukihira SMA was stunned and asked, Lin Fan, you said you called someone to help? Is she the one? Lin Fan nodded. Mito Yumei was even more stunned and said, Yukihira Restaurant. This is your restaurant. Saying that, Mito Yumei quickly looked around. Finally, he exclaimed, It's really small. Yukihira said dissatisfiedly, Hey, what nonsense are you talking about? Mito Yumei pursed her lips and didn't answer. He walked up to Lin Fan and asked, You said that if you asked me to help, you meant to help Yukihira, right? I also received the text message. I probably know. That is, you're going to compete with the fried chicken nugget shop opposite, and you need me to provide meat, right? Mito Yumei said, and took out a calculation from her body. Skilled in action, start pressing up quickly. After a short calculation, I saw her put the calculator screen in front of Lin Fan's face. Hey, this price. 35. We Mito Meat are the best meat supplier in the whole of Tokyo and the whole country. All meat quality is superlative. Looking at our classmates, and for the sake of a club, we get a 22% discount. Lin Fan glanced at the calculator, shook his head and said, It will cost more than 10,000 yen per gram for a 40% discount. Go crazy. I have a few days off, but I have researched a few recipes. When Mito Yumei heard this, her eyes lit up and said, Oh, I know the supplier of the Mozuya family. I'll call him now and ask him to transfer the goods from the nearest store. And on the basis of the normal price supply, with a discount, is this the head office? Lin Fan laughed and said, This seems to be okay. Mito Yumei said angrily, What is it that's okay? Obviously it's a lot cheaper. Okay, if it wasn't because of Mito's face and not a big customer, who would care about you? 39. Having said that, Mito Yumei added, You promised me. The few people present also heard it, and when they went back, they showed me the newly developed recipe. Lin Fan nodded. Then Mito Yumei gossiped and asked, Grave accent that? I'm asking more. Is there a fierce bull and Qinglong slash? Lin Fan denied. No. Mito Yumei pursed his lips and said, stingy. 35. Wait for me. I'll let you approve, and then hand over the ox and Qinglong to me. 39. Lin Fan was not talking. After chatting for a while, Lin Fan looked at the time and was almost ready to take it out. Fire up hot oil. Everyone looked forward to it. The shopkeepers rubbed their hands together and watched nervously. This is about the fate of the entire commercial street. After the oil temperature rises, Bola put the first chicken nuggets in the pot. The moment the chicken touched the boiling oil, the rich and charming fragrance overflowed instantly. Yukihira SMA was the first to react and exclaimed, "It's this aroma. It's the aroma of Mozuya's chicken nuggets." 99. Wow. Several other shopkeepers looked surprised, as if this life-saving straw had already been grasped. After a while, on the countertop, trays of fried chicken nuggets came out of the oven. Plates of golden fried chicken nuggets shone slightly like gold. One shopkeeper exclaimed, "Why do I think the nuggets seem to be glowing?" Another, of Zhao, shopkeeper responded, "Don't think it's clearly shining, but it's not too dazzling, but it doesn't prevent it from being very dazzling." Yukihira SMA exclaimed, "It's so appetizing at this time." Lin Fan said calmly, "The one on the left is the fried chicken nuggets that imitate Mozuya's house, and the one on the right. On the right is me, based on the recipe of the Mozuya family. After debugging, I made an upgraded version of the recipe." 35. Everyone rushed to the front of the stage and looked at the fried chicken nuggets on the left. They picked up a piece and prepared to try it. After all, they wanted to eat the imitation first, so as to know if there was a gap. Everyone picked up a piece and said in unison, "Start." 99 entering. Click, crack. Kakaka only heard the crispy sound of the fried chicken after being bitten and broken between the upper and lower teeth. And at this moment, a strong, fragrant smell of chicken surrounded everyone around him. In particular, Mito Yumei's response was the strongest. Lovely dividing line. Chapter 70, The Real Medicine King, is alive. One more for subscription. After Mito Yumei eats the fried chicken. At this time, her body seemed to be surrounded by the aroma of fried chicken nuggets. The soul-stirring aroma slowly dragged her up. Then it slowly ascended into the air. Kakaka, when biting into the crispy crust of a piece of fried chicken again. Inside the chicken nuggets, the soft meat and gravy overflowed comfortably. Mito Yumei sighed that it was delicious. Afterwards, the tender chicken nuggets tasted like a huge, soft cloud. Mito Yumei is also on top of the sponge-like clouds, soft and very comfortable. The same goes for the chicken nuggets. It's so delicious. The taste, I think it's better than Mozuya's. Although it's the same recipe, the same taste, but it tastes better than her family's. It's amazing. Mito Yumei kept sighing. Then, I picked up the original chicken nuggets on the right again. Kakaka, another bite to the crispy crust. However, Mito Yumei, who was intoxicated, suddenly opened his eyes, and his expression became surprised. This, with disbelief on his face, he picked up a piece of chicken again and took another bite. The half-bitten chicken pieces start from the middle, and the cheese flows out. Shocked. Mito Yumei was pleasantly surprised. "Oh my God, there's cheese in this nugget." 35. Delicious. Lin Fan smiled calmly. The name of this chicken nugget is Cheese Fried Chicken Nuggets. As the name suggests, it's stuffed with cheese inside the chicken nuggets and coated with breadcrumbs. When the cheese is heated inside, it melts into a heart shape. One bite, this taste. Only those who taste it know 007. Lin Fan just finished explaining. At this time, Mito Yumei was picking up another piece and eating in his mouth. And this time, hot and spicy fried chicken nuggets like a lead. The moment after the entrance, it was instantly ignited. Mito Yumei instantly entered a state of bursting clothes, and the whole person floated up. Okay, so delicious. 99 incessant emotion. However, others in the restaurant were not far behind. One by one, it's like stepping on a Hot Wheel, as if excitedly running around in the restaurant. Yukihira SMA finally couldn't help but said, "It's so delicious, it's so delicious." All I can say is, you made this recipe that took the Mozu's house down hundreds of streets. At this time, Mito Yumei also gradually returned to normal. After she woke up, she was still unsure. Try to try the chicken nuggets once, but unfortunately, they were all eaten up. Next, Mito Yumei said, "Since it has been confirmed, then I will call and have it delivered over there." After that, I went out to make a phone call. At this time, one of the shopkeepers said, "I'm going to call the other shopkeepers on this street too." 99. After all, this matter is about our entire commercial street. Crowdfunding the chicken for the nuggets. Then next, I will trouble this Lin Fan student. Lin Fan nodded and said, "It doesn't matter. I will write down the recipe for this chicken nugget, and then I will demonstrate it to everyone after the chicken is delivered. That way, everyone can sell fried chicken nuggets even when Yukihira isn't around." 99. After all, this fried chicken nugget stall belongs to all shop owners in the commercial street. 35. All the shopkeepers nodded excitedly. After an hour, the ordered chicken was delivered smoothly. Lin Fan wrote the recipe down before the chicken was delivered. Then, according to a few flavors of fried chicken, I did a demonstration. All shopkeepers learned carefully. Lin Fan also patiently said, "It's very simple. The most important thing is the combination of seasonings and sauces." 5. Because you are not chefs, I have made the seasoning accurate to gram degrees. In this case, there will be no mistakes. And as long as the chicken nuggets are marinated the first day, they are ready to be fried the next day. Lin Fan spoke carefully. All shopkeepers listened patiently. I gave a thumbs up and praised while listening. "Amazing. This young man is really amazing." Just glanced at it and tasted it, and he was able to pick out all the recipes of the Golden Fried Chicken Nugget shop and even surpass the other party. Yeah, if it weren't for Lin Fan, I'm afraid our store wouldn't last long. That's it. When our fried chicken nuggets come out tomorrow, it must shock everyone. The shopkeepers were so happy they couldn't close their mouths. The next morning, Lin Fan got up early. When I got up, I saw that the shopkeepers had begun to set up their stalls. Lin Fan and Yukihira SMA took out the marinated chicken. When it was almost 10 o'clock, the business districts on both sides were ready to open for business. It just so happens that today is the weekend. If you can attract customers with fried chicken and become famous, the commercial street can be on fire again. After everything is ready, maybe because of today's particularity, the Chinese Mozu Silk actually opened a shop ahead of schedule. On weekdays, this time is still the time for the Mozu house to prepare for work. At this time, the diners can only wait in line outside the door obediently. So, at this time, the Mozu house had guests one after another. In the Mozu Silk, I came to the commercial street to take a look. I saw Lin Fan and others who set up a stall at the commercial street. The Mozu Silk is still shaking the fan, walking slowly. Oh, it's so pitiful to use this AAA simple mobile booth to grab the business of Mozu's house. 99, but it's really hard for you. It's very good. It only took one night to do this. It's worthy of praise. Look at the opposite door. Diners have already begun to enter. Hypermarkets are also very welcome to stay at Mozu House. After all, with the drainage of Mozuya, the hypermarket can maintain its popularity. And you, Middle Mozu kept laughing. However, at this moment, a girl happened to pass by and saw Lin Fan's booth. The girl asked curiously, "Hey, are you the one? The person who was going to bed at the Mozu house yesterday?" Lin Fan nodded. The girl was surprised. "Yeah, ready so soon? It's amazing. Now that I'm here, why don't I have a taste?" 55. Lin Fan glanced at Yukihira SMA and motioned for him to make it. Seeing this, Mizumo hurriedly stepped forward and said with a smile, "Little girl, I'm the owner of the Mozu house. Oh, you saw this shop? Oh, no, is it the grade of this stall? How can it be compared to the Mozu house?" The girl shook her head and said, "Hey, there's no way. In fact, I also want to buy chicken nuggets at Mozuya. It's just that the queue started early in the morning. So annoying. Just try it out. It's time to change the taste if you always eat from one family. It doesn't matter if it doesn't taste good." Middle Mozu Silk embarrassed. However, Lin Fan said with a smile, "Students, believe me, if you don't think it tastes good, don't pay." The girls were surprised and nodded one after another. In the middle, Mozu Silk stood aside, wanting to see Lin Fan make a fool of himself in public. The girl took the fried chicken nuggets, smelled it, and said, "Hey, this smells exactly like Mozu's house." Lin Fan laughed. "It's a mix of several flavors. You can taste which one you like." Certainly, the proprietress claimed yesterday that her family's exclusive secret recipe, but unfortunately, I have already copied it, and I have made an upgrade on the basis, and the taste will be better. There are also flavors that we developed ourselves. The girl exclaimed, "It's amazing." 35 then, put a piece of fried chicken in your mouth and bite down. Kakaka, in an instant, the girl suddenly widened her eyes. The body seemed to freeze and pause for a moment. Then he said slowly, "Okay, delicious fried chicken. The one I ate just now tastes exactly the same as the one at Mozu's house. No, although it's the same, it tastes better than hers." 39, why, it's amazing. 35, delicious. Saying that, the girl ate another piece of fried chicken in her mouth. It's cheese. There is no such taste in Mozuya. It's delicious. Rich, cheesy, crispy fried chicken nuggets. Oh my God, it's a good mix of the two. After listening to the Mozu Silk, I was stunned. How can that be? How can anyone know her secret recipe? Surprised, Mozu Zhong stepped forward, picked up a piece of chicken nugget imitating her, and ate it into her mouth. Kakaka moment, that fried golden crispy crust, tender and juicy chicken inside. It tastes exactly the same. However, a very miraculous thing happened. This taste is better than that of Moza House. The Mozu Silk is unbelievable. But this time, the little girl interrupted Mozu's silk thoughts. The little girl was surprised. "This brother, I see you familiar. Shouldn't it be a student of Tsuki, right?" Lin Fan nodded and smiled. "Yes, me and the one next to me are both." The girl exclaimed, "Are you Lin Fan?" Chapter 71, The Law of True Fragrance Will Never Be Late. 2 more for subscription. "Aren't you Lin Fan of Tsuki?" The little girl looked surprised and asked, not very sure. Lin Fan was still a little surprised and nodded. Looking at the girl's dress, she should not be Tsuki's student, but she actually knew herself? It's impossible. It's not so popular yet. The little girl was excited when she heard it. She was so excited that she couldn't close her mouth. Her voice trembled, and her language organization ability dropped sharply. Not a word was spoken for a long time. This can only be reflected by fans who have met their idols. On the side of the Mozu Silk, he said disdainfully, "Hey, little sister, calm down and talk. It's no big deal. Isn't a student of Tsuki." "No wonder," I said, "the craftsmanship is higher than ordinary people." It's not surprising to know now that he was a student of Tsuki. After all, that school was a chef incubator. 39, but who is Lin Fan? Is he famous? The Mozu Silk didn't take it seriously and blurted out. At this moment, the little girl said excitedly, "Just a few days ago, Tsuki Resort Hotel, you made breakfast on the last day of training and made all the vendors go crazy." "Yes, I am the daughter of one of the suppliers. I didn't go there that day, but my father took a picture of the scene. It was so shocking. My ideal is to be able to approach Tsuki smoothly when I enter high school." 99. Having said that, the girl looked at Mozu's Silk and said, "It's normal that you don't know him." 35. If the proprietress wants to really know him, I'm afraid you didn't dare to say nonsense yesterday, and you have to compare yourself with Brother Lin Fan. Give it up, lady boss, you lose. You don't know what Brother Lin Fan means. His cooking skills are too strong. Your fried chicken is a piece of cake for him. When the Mozu Silk heard it, it was even more disdainful. A student of Tsuki? Who has no one behind it? So, he continued to shake his fan and said indifferently, "Little girl." 39. I think you are still too young to know the dangers of this world. 5 lose? My Moza house has been open since its opening, and I still don't know what to lose. Heh. Saying that, the middle Mozu swayed his fan and walked away. However, the little girl took out her mobile phone and dialed. After a while, she smiled and said, "Brother Lin Fan, don't worry. It won't be long before your stall will be extremely popular." Lin Fan was puzzled. The girl continued, "I call my classmates and friends. They are all your big fans. Not only my friends, but also my friends' friends. In short, they are all motivated to be a good chef. Now, you were caught by me outside. The girl smiled. Then I ordered a few more for friends. Just as the girls stood in front of the booth to buy, there were more and more scattered passersby. In the curiosity of yesterday, there are girls who are highly recommended. The first wave of passersby started to buy Lin Fan's chicken nuggets tentatively. Moza House. After I came back from the Moza House, my heart has been a little ups and downs. She kept thinking about the girl's words in her head. When I think of the fried chicken nuggets that I tasted, the taste, from an objective point of view, the same taste is actually better than that of Mozuya. After thinking about it for a long time, Zhong Mozen finally couldn't help but pick up the phone and broadcast it. "Hey, Eizan, I may have encountered something here," the middle Mozu Silk said calmly. However, on the other end of the phone, it was the ninth seat of one of the Totsuki Elite 10, Eizan Zhijin. Eizan Zhijin also calmly replied, "What? Didn't I tell you, don't call me if you're okay. If it's about the store, just follow my arrangements." Zhong Mozu took a deep breath and said, "It's really a matter of the shop, but this time, I'm afraid it's not that simple. Ask you personally, do you Tsuki have a student named Lin Fan? Is he famous at school? How is he cooking? Is he above you?" Eizan Adema was also stunned after hearing this. Then he chuckled. "Lin Fan? Oh, that's the transfer student. It's really been quite popular in Tsuki recently, and it has also broken the school's historical record. As for cooking, above me? Joke." The Mozu Silk gave this breath. With Eizan Zhijin's words, it's like taking a reassurance. Afterwards, Mozu Shuang Zhong continued. "Yesterday, two little ghosts came to my shop, and they were from the commercial street opposite my new shop. 99. You know what's going on in that desolate commercial street? Don't you still want to buy a few rooms?" That's off topic. Even there were two little ghosts on the commercial street who claimed to be Tsuki's students. They were so powerful that they made a bet with me to see whose fried chicken was delicious. 99. The loser will leave this area. Nakamatsuya told Eizan Zhijin what happened and her worries in detail. However, Eizan Zhijin, who was on the other end of the phone, was obviously disdainful. He replied, "The formula I gave you is unique. How could that kid copy it? Even if you take 10,000 steps back, it's just a coincidence that he copied it. I'll send you the new chicken nugget recipe later. Just follow that new recipe. Those two brats, they're nothing but ignorant transfer students. Don't worry about it." After he finished speaking, he hung up the phone without waiting for Mozu Shuang to reply. The whole heart of Mozu Silk felt at ease. Turn on the computer and prepare to receive an email from Eizan Eden also. However, at this time, at the entrance of the commercial street across the road, a new generation of fried chicken nuggets is slowly being born. Due to the influence of the first customers, the number of people at the chicken nugget stall increased. The passersby who passed by did not intend to buy fried chicken nuggets. As soon as I saw the booth, there were so many people queuing up, and I started to line up because I was following the trend. Ask for flour 00, however, the moment they ate the fried chicken nuggets. The entire booth was filled with intoxication. This atmosphere can even affect the mood of the people nearby. Passing by, queuing, tasting, and then attracting passersby. This forms a closed loop. This cycle goes on and on. After an hour, Mozu House fried chicken nuggets, Zhong Mozu was still working hard on the platform of his new store, shouting hard. The staff in the store suddenly ran over. "Oh, boss, there are few customers in the store today, not because the customers haven't woken up on weekends, but because the employee's face was ugly, and it took a long time to say. It's because I went to the opposite commercial street." 99. The sound gets smaller and smaller. Middle Mozu Shuang was shocked and said, "How could that be? Didn't we just switch to a new formula? Maybe what's going on, don't you like it? Have you collected any reviews from your guests?" The employee said helplessly, "The questionnaire has been investigated. The guest didn't say it was bad. It's still the same as before, just..." The employee stopped, thought about it, and continued. "Just because customers who bought fried chicken nuggets from the commercial street, if they want to go out by car, they must pass through our store. However, the fried chicken they were holding successfully caught the attention of the guests. And because of the good reputation, all the customers in our store ran to the opposite side one after another." Zhong Mozu was taken aback and gritted his teeth. These two stinky brats. It's okay, it just started today. No one can move the Mozu house fried chicken. Its place in the fried chicken world. 95 having said that, after the middle Mozu Silk finished talking to the staff, she got through Eizan Edison's phone once. However, the answer was, don't worry, it's only temporary. After all, the guests will also feel fresh, and Lin Fan and the others will lose soon. Just started fine. But, slowly, Mozu-chan realizes that something is not right. When the staff came to report to her for the third time, it was obvious that they felt a lot more anxious. Boss, up to now, today's turnover has not even reached 70% of yesterday's. 95 Crystal, another hour passed. The employee said again, Boss, today's turnover is not even half of yesterday's. Another hour passed. The employee was a little broken and said, Boss, today's turnover has not even reached the standard passing line. We lost money in the store today. Boss, Zhong Mozu was furious and shouted, Shut up. Looking at the time, it seems that the day is almost over. Mozuya did not return to the warmer traffic, as Eizan also said, but became more and more bleak. Seeing that the time to bed is coming, I am as anxious as ants on a hot pan. Can't sit still. Get up. She's going to the opposite side. Chapter 72, textbook style, empty gloves, white wolf. 3 more for subscription. Commercial Street entrance. When Mozu Silk came here again, the entrance of the entire Commercial Street was already crowded with guests. The staff was right. All the guests came here. No wonder Mozu House is doing so badly. Damn it. Zhong Mozu murmured something subconsciously. Then he suddenly became vigilant, quickly put on his glasses, and covered his head with his clothes and hat, still found by well-meaning diners. Hey, isn't this the proprietress of the Mozuya chicken nugget shop across the street? Ah, it's really her. There is such a big movement in the Commercial Street. It's normal to come and see. By the way, is their bet yesterday still considered? I didn't think about it, but in just one night, these 2 young people are really good. The fried chicken tastes great. Lady boss, would you try it? The taste is really amazing, especially the fried chicken nuggets. Madam boss, you should keep pace with the times. The future of today's young people is immeasurable. But I don't know why. The same taste, the one here is delicious. Is it a psychological effect? Facing the discussion of the diners. The silken intestines of the middle Mozu have turned green, and they would not have come if they knew it earlier. At this moment, I can't wait to find a crack to dig into. He turned around and wanted to leave, but was stopped by the tourists. 007. Hey, Madam Boss, don't go. Didn't you agree yesterday? Why don't you all come a witness? Otherwise, I wouldn't have come all the way this weekend. Yeah, I came here because of your bet yesterday. And then again, what's the turnover of Mozuya today? Actually, or else you can reconcile, I think it's quite strong. If you join forces, you must be the ace of the fried chicken world. Opinions vary. In short, there is no chance for Mozu to speak. Lin Fan stood by and looked at it and smiled. I guess the boss lady's business is not good today. But, since it's a bet, then you have to be willing to admit defeat. Want to know why the same taste of fried chicken, your taste is not as good as the Commercial Street? Having said that, everyone was curious and asked Lin Fan. Lin Fan continued. The reason is simple. Most of the people who go to Mozu's house to buy fried chicken nuggets go to her house for the exquisite packaging. Because the packaging is beautiful and it is easy to pack and take away. So, I have to come all the way to buy it and give it away? Everyone nodded subconsciously. Lin Fan still said calmly, that's the point. What's the most important thing about fried chicken nuggets? Eat it while it's hot. How many people can still keep the fried chicken hot after going back through the bus Shinkansen? Not to mention keeping it hot, just cover in the box. A box of water vapor circulates in it. You know, this is fried chicken, and it's still delicious after all. I'm afraid even the gods won't be able to save it. Everyone was stunned when they heard it. Oh, it's that simple. How could we not have thought of it? 35. Indeed, the fried chicken bought in the Commercial Street is simply packaged, and you can eat it right away. Yeah, just out of the pot. It's straight to the mouth, fresh, crisp, tender, and juicy. The taste is naturally good. 35. Sometimes I also think that the box of Mozu's house is too troublesome. and it is difficult to open and eat, so I can only wait until I get home to eat. But it is often like this. It is not fresh. So give me 2 copies. 99. Lin Fan smiled and looked at the Mozu silk. See her face ugly. Furious, she turned around angrily. But I was stopped by Lin Fan again. Madam, are you leaving now? I'm afraid it's not that simple, is it? Take a good look at the time. At this time, everyone realized that the appointed time had come. The Mozu silk was stunned. She never imagined that she would fall for it like this. And it's still in the hands of a student. The point is, before this, her fried chicken nuggets, but a handful in the country, no one can match. This kind of unwillingness and anger that was suddenly pulled down from the altar, I am afraid only she knows. At this time, the guests began to boo. According to yesterday's agreement, from today, the Mozu house will move out of this area. 35. It's a little weird, but what you say is the water that is poured out. Yeah, if the proprietress doesn't want to admit it, I won't go to Mozuya or any branch to buy fried chicken nuggets in the future. Me too. I'm just like you. The guests were emotional. Middle Mozu panicked. She didn't know what to say. At this moment, she just wanted to get out of here quickly. Then, turning around, he quickly disappeared in front of everyone. The guests ignored it and continued to line up to sell fried chicken nuggets. But Lin Fan said apologetically, "Sorry everyone, it's already sold out. If everyone wants to eat fried chicken nuggets in the future, come to the commercial street. 5 after all," Lin Fan said, walked out of the booth, and pointed to the commercial street. Then he continued, "After all, there is everything on this street, and everyone has witnessed its prosperity. No matter how the times develop, the owners are also working hard to update the entertainment projects in this street. For example, this high street fried chicken. It's fine on weekends. If you're tired from work, you can come here. This commercial street has everyone's joys and memories. And more importantly, the exclusive fried chicken nuggets for commercial street brands." Pat, 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 Lin Fan finished with impassioned speech. The thunderous applause had never been heard. This young man said it so well. The hypermarket opposite is a hypermarket, and the commercial street here is also essential. That's right, there are them here, but not in the hypermarket across the street. I will continue to come here in the future, and I will come to buy fried chicken nuggets. Me too. This boy is called Lin Fan, right? It's amazing, really young and promising. 35. The crowd complimented. Yukihira, SMA, as well as other shopkeepers in the commercial street, were overwhelmed with emotion. A shopkeeper said in tears, "Oh my God, thank you so much, Lin Fan. If it wasn't for him, I don't even know what I would have done." Yes, Lin Fan is our benefactor. As long as you have anything in the future, we must help you. 5. If it wasn't for Lin Fan, I would be closed now. It's really touching to see the commercial street resume its former prosperity. Thank you, Lin Fan. Shopkeepers in the commercial street, scrambling to thank Lin Fan. Yukihira SMA was no exception. Seeing him calmly said, "Thank you so much. You did us a big favor. In the future at Tsuki, if anyone dares to provoke you, and the Black Kirin Food Research Society, in a word, I'm the first to come out from maintenance." Lin Fan smiled and nodded. Then he said, "Yes, the crisis in the commercial street is a contact." 95. However, I have one more thing to do now. Lin Fan came to the hypermarket opposite the door. According to yesterday's bet, Zhong Mozu must fulfill her promise. Or rather, Lin Fan has other plans. Came to the door of Mozuya Fried Chicken Nugget Shop. It's a pity, just yesterday, it was bustling and bustling here. At this moment, there is not even a single guest. I saw Mozu Silk sitting in the store, making an angry phone call. When I saw Lin Fan coming, I quickly hung up the phone. Zhong Mozu stood up and said, "Boy, are you satisfied now? That commercial street would have been useless if it weren't for your forcible involvement." 35. Lin Fan replied, "I'll give you another option now. If you agree, everyone will be happy." The surprise on Mozu's silk face had long since lost the arrogance of yesterday. Afterwards, he hurriedly said with diligence, "What way? Tell me. I'll just say, you young man looks like a material for big things. It's really amazing." 35. It's all my fault that I had no eyeballs yesterday. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Can I not have to move out? The middle Mozu complimented. Lin Fan disagreed and calmly replied, Move. Still have to move. Even if you don't move, your reputation won't be much better. Mozu Silk frustrated. Lin Fan continued, but we can cooperate. I can provide you with a recipe again, and it does not conflict with the fried chicken nuggets on the high street. As long as you don't drive in this area, it will have no effect. The road is facing the sky. Everyone has their own way. The well water does not make the river water. I can guarantee that as long as you use my formula, the reputation will be better than before. Chinese Mozu Silk surprise. Lin Fan's strength. She has witnessed with her own eyes. Currently, there are no better conditions than this. So, Mozu Shuang nodded one after another. I agree. I totally agree with 0.035. You said, how much does the recipe cost? Lin Fan calmly smiled and said, divide it. I ate you too. The Mozu Silk was surprised. Looking at Lin Fan in surprise, he said, boy, are you all right? 35 your ate? Is 80% of your monthly income? Lin Fan nodded. Zamuzo said in shock. In this way, you are actually in control, and I'm just working for you. And you're a worthless business. I took the capital and risks for you. You just sit and collect money? Lin Fan shook his head and said, it's so short-sighted. Even if it's 20%, I can make you take more than you are now. Don't you claim to have capital? It's okay if you don't agree. Then you can do it yourself. The moment Lin Fan turned around, middle Mozu gritted his teeth and nodded immediately. Lin Fan smiled and said, I will send you the updated formula every month from now on. Then wish us a happy cooperation. Totsuki Elite 10 Office Eizan Zhijin, who hung up the phone, was about to explode with anger. Chapter 73, the ninth seat of the Elite 10. Very powerful? For more subscriptions, Eizan Zhijin also hung up the phone and slapped the desk. Fried, lungs are going to explode. This is a disgrace to my career. 35, Lin Fan, this kid is too much. 99, not only did he hit me directly in the face, but now he dared to snatch something from his hands. And he even stole it. It's too bold, damn it, this guy's too damn it. Eizan Zhijin also said one after another. Just a minute ago, he just finished a phone call with Mozu Silk. This call is not to bargain with him, but to terminate the cooperation directly. And sitting at the desk, a burly boy with dreadlocks. Seeing him with a calm face, he replied, termination of cooperation? What's the situation? Just listened to you yesterday. That guy Lin Fan is against the Mozu house. 99, what's the matter with this? Mimisaka Subaru looked bewildered. Eizan Edzu also took a deep breath. Wanting to calm down, he pretended to be calm and said, this guy, it actually provided the recipe for the Mozu house, and the inadvertent guy in the Mozu Silk also agreed. So, Mozuya terminated cooperation with me. Shame, it's a shame. Eizan Zhijin also said, and became angry again, clenching his fists, trembling with anger. At this time, Eizan Zhijin also said, this is the time since I started a business project. The Mozu house. This is the first company to cancel the cooperation with me. This is the first time. Damn it. As he was talking, Eizan also raised his head again. Mimisaka Subaru sitting on the side. 08 when such a big event happened. As a close friend of Eizan, he was surprised and even couldn't understand it. How can that kid Lin Fan achieve all-round development in all directions? Even if the cooking skills are top-notch among the workers among the freshmen, the business aspect is also top-notch. Mimisaka Subaru can understand Eizan Edzuya's mood at this time. If it were him, his lungs might have exploded long ago. He couldn't show those doubts. After all, Eizan Zhijin can't be blocked. So, Mimisaka Subaru said calmly, Lin Fan, this kid, since he made a lot of rhetoric at the opening ceremony of the freshmen. 35. My academic career at Totsuki has always been smooth. So much so that this guy is getting more and more arrogant now, and doing things more and more unruly. I've been looking at the stinky boy for a long time. Eizan, leave this matter to me to handle it. I will make that kid completely despair, and make him disappear from your eyes, no? From Totsuki. Eizan Zhijin also heard this, and his heart seemed to feel much better. So he asked, what do you want to do? Mimisaka Subaru got up and smiled calmly. Didn't he have a Black Unicorn Food Research Society? With my qualifications, it's not difficult to join the club smoothly, right? Eizan Edzu also nodded. Mimisaka Subaru continued. Meticulous, meticulous. What better way than to follow up and investigate under his nose and defeat him smoothly? Although this may seem a bit prudent, but what has always been placed under Lin Fan's hands is because they are not careful enough. 35 this time. I will make Lin Fan, along with his half-assed research club, completely disappear from our eyes. 99. Eizan Zhijin also smiled and said, "It sounds pretty good." 35. That's hard work for you. Lin Fan studies recipes in the club, as usual. Mito Yumei followed him early because he had promised her the recipe for 3-egg shumai. Not long after the meeting, new faces came to the society. Mimisaka Subaru walked in silently. Looking around the club, he was more accustomed to staying by Eizan's side. If it weren't for the special circumstances of such a facility, it would be difficult to even look at it, let alone join in. After Lin Fan heard the movement, he walked out of the office area inside. The first time I saw this big man, I was a little surprised. Mimisaka Subaru was stunned and smiled. "I heard that your club is recruiting. By the way, let me introduce myself first. My name is Mimisaka Subaru, and I'm also a first-year student in the higher school. The purpose of coming here today is to join the club. It's that simple." Lin Fan just wanted to answer. Mito Yumei came out and was shocked when he saw Mimisaka Subaru. "Why are you here?" 99. Mimisaka Subaru looked at Mito Yumei and smiled. "Come join the club." Mito Yumei didn't speak. Lin Fan didn't think much about it, and according to the normal process, asked Mimisaka Subaru to go to the cooking area to make a food for evaluation. Mimisaka Subaru complied quickly. The three come to the kitchen together while Mimisaka Subaru is cooking. Mito Yumei whispers, "Hey, you'd better be careful. This guy is probably here with a purpose." Lin Fan asked, "Why do you say that?" Mito Yumei, "You don't know yet. This guy is Eizan Zhiji's side. It's the 9th seat of the Totsuki Elite 10. Eizan Zhijin. When did you offend him? Otherwise, this guy wouldn't come to us anyway." Lin Fan thought over and over again. He had never seen this person in his memory. "I have never seen Eizan Zhijin, so why bother?" But Mito Yumei's words are not without merit. So he smiled and said, "If he really came here with a purpose, let's see which play he wants to play." 99. Let's wait and see. 35. After a while, Mimisaka Subaru put the prepared dish on the table. Lin Fan took a closer look, and it was a plate of shredded pork with green peppers. After seeing this dish, Lin Fan confirmed what he just said. This guy came with a purpose. It doesn't matter if you say it. But if he doesn't say it, it's even more suspicious. After all, this plate of shredded pork with green peppers, fried by Mimisaka Subaru, is the recipe that Lin Fan improved in the club later. This guy was able to copy it out. It can be seen that it is not ordinary intentions. So, Lin Fan pretended to be fine and let him join the club. However, this guy's every move could not escape Lin Fan's eyes. 3 days later, Tsuki had already started school, and the students had returned early. On this day, Lin Fan normally studies recipes in the club after class. The members of the club are also in place, and they are also in the kitchen, making dishes according to Lin Fan's instructions. The same goes for Mimisaka Subaru. After all, it is not surprising that Lin Fan's current strength among the freshmen can attract some elite students. This made the students feel that Lin Fan's club had more potential. However, on this day, Mimisaka Subaru, who has been unknown in the club, finally questioned. Lin Fan is just waiting for this moment. I saw Mimisaka Subaru in front of the cooking table, holding Lin Fan's recipe, and said indifferently, "There is something wrong with this recipe." Lin Fan pretended not to know and smiled. "What's the problem?" Today's recipe is stir-fried Qinglong dishes. However, the process of making this is very problematic. Of course, although I know that as a member, I should obey the arrangements quietly. But if it is a wrong arrangement, I think it should be pointed out in time. After all, this club is a research club, not a real kitchen. This is to prevent everyone from entering a misunderstanding. 35 Lin Fan continued to pretend not to know. Mimisaka Subaru continued. The fried Qinglong dish in the recipe, as a layman of Chinese cuisine knows, must be fried in water. The purpose is that if you don't blanch it in boiling water beforehand, the vegetables will not be easy to cook. So, you asked us to follow the recipe, so to speak, to add gloss to the vegetables. This is clearly wrong. After making it like this, even the gods can't cook this plate of green vegetables so shiny. Do you really want to really study food, or do you have other goals? Or rather, 0-20, you just want to find some people for you to use, and you don't even think about sharing recipes with sincerity. Wow. As soon as these words came out, all the members were shocked. No. Lin Fan is such a person? Why did Mimisaka Subaru lie? There's no need to do that. Everyone is a member of a society. I don't think Lin Fan is such a person. Maybe Mimisaka Subaru did it on purpose. 35, probably. For a time, the members were talking frantically. Mimisaka Subaru strikes while the iron is hot and continues. Okay, if you don't believe me, I'll show you how. 35 having said that, this big man, according to the recipe given by Lin Fan, went down step by step and fried a plate of Qinglong dishes. No matter how careful the steps are, the Qinglong dishes have already lost their luster after they are out of the pot. Then, according to his steps, blanch the green vegetables and stir-fry them quickly. After it came out of the pot, a plate of fresh and crispy fried Qinglong dishes was presented to everyone. Wow, the members are boiling again, Mimisaka Subaru said proudly. The fact is in front of you. You just want to recruit people to run errands for you. And after my observation for a while, your cooking skills are nothing more than that. How can you be so embarrassed to come up with a recipe with no special features like this? If you want to improve it for me, I can do it better than you. Everyone, don't waste time with the club and Lin Fan. If possible, I'll go tell everyone. Let's go to Eizan Senpai. Seeing this, Lin Fan calmly smiled and said, "Oh, right? It seems that this is the real purpose of your coming to the Black Unicorn. Totsuki Elite 10/9 seat? Very powerful. Cute dividing line, Chapter 74, a fried Qinglong cuisine. Teach you to be a man. 5 more, please order first." After hearing Lin Fan's words, Mimisaka Subaru smiled. The 9th seat of the Totsuki Elite 10 is not that good, but a savage like you is good? Only taking advantage of others. Selfish guy. Originally, for a while, I really joined the Black Unicorn to learn Chinese cuisine. I never thought about it, but I accidentally discovered your cleverness. And your cooking skills are almost the same, just over and over again. Thinking that if you hide it and deliberately sell it, you could become very powerful. Actually, it's nothing more than that. I was right just now. If you follow my method, this mediocre recipe will surpass you. If you don't believe me, you could try it with me. Mimisaka Subaru is about to win. At this time, some members of the community felt that something was wrong and wanted to speak. But he was interrupted by Lin Fan instantly. Lin Fan smiled calmly. "Is this the real purpose of your coming here? I personally think that you, as a close friend of Eizan Senpai, who is the 9th seat of the Elite 10, should not do such a thing that would bring him shame. Although I don't know why you did this on purpose, but I still accept your provocation, but I have conditions. If you lose, then please kneel down and admit your mistake, and get out of Totsuki immediately. Never show up." Mimisaka Subaru still has a confident attitude. Hearing Lin Fan's request, he smiled incredulously. "How dare you think about it? I kneel down and beg you. Okay, then conversely, if you lose, you will be treated the same way." Lin Fan nodded and said, "Classmate, then take this opportunity and I'll teach you to be a person." Mimisaka Subaru ignored it and turned back to the cooking station. He turned around suddenly and said with a wicked smile, "Do you know what my nickname is? 35, the King of Tracking. These days, I don't just cook these meaningless dishes in the club. I can see your cooking routines clearly, but me, I'm very good at replicating other people's dishes, and I'm upgrading on this basis. So you, Tsuki's new popularity king. I'm afraid it will end here." With that said, Mimisaka Subaru started cleaning the ingredients. However, the members of the society just stood on the sidelines and watched without making a sound. Lin Fan quickly tied his waist in front of his cooking table. Dong, dong, dong. Start mincing the garlic cloves. On Mi Zhuang's side, it seems to be the same as Lin Fan's steps. What Lin Fan did, Mimisaka Subaru followed the same steps. While this time, the students couldn't hold back any longer, and they all started talking in low voices. Seeing now, I feel that this guy is an undercover agent who is here to smash the scene, right? Indeed, isn't it obvious? At that moment, I almost believed it until you showed me. Don't talk about it. But then again, off topic, do you think he can win Lin Fan? This fellow Mimisaka Subaru follows Eizan Senpai and can be seen by one of the Elite 10. He is very capable, and if he imitates this dish of Qinglong Cuisine 101, I think it's 55% off. I think it's the same, although Lin Fan is careful everywhere. Maybe he still can't prevent this guy, and he still has this trick. Copying this kind of thing is indeed a bit of a joke, very foul. After a while, the two put the fried Qinglong dishes on the table. All the members came together in a hurry. Looking at it this way, the two plates of Qinglong dishes are almost identical in terms of color and aroma. Lin Fan pushed his share to Mimisaka Subaru. Afterwards, he took it again, and it was being packaged and distributed to several members of the community. In this way, whether it tastes good or not, everyone has the final say. The students served 2 fried Qinglong dishes. Pick up the Mimisaka Subaru first, eat it in your mouth, and chew it carefully. This taste is fresh and delicious because the green vegetables can maintain their original color after being blanched in water in advance. 5. Yes, it's coming. If you fry it directly, it will cause the leaves to lose chlorophyll, and the taste will be greatly reduced. This stir-fried Qinglong dish from Mimisaka Subaru is delicious and crispy. I think this should be the ceiling of stir-frying Qinglong cuisine, right? No matter what, even Lin Fan shouldn't be able to break through. If it's another theme, I dare say Mimisaka Subaru can't win against Lin Fan. But this Qinglong dish, this guy is cunning. Members are worried. Then I picked up Lin Fan's fried Qinglong dishes, and after one day of eating, it is no exaggeration, it was the moment of entrance. Everyone was shocked. How? I thought Mimisaka Subaru's was already a taste bud ceiling, but I didn't expect. What's going on with this Qinglong dish? This taste, isn't it? It's delicious, but the production process of the two is the same. Why is Lin Fan's better? Hey, I'm a little bit suspicious of Mimisaka Subaru's cooking skills now. Doesn't it mean copying one by one? Copying can make mistakes? No, Lin Fan must have changed somewhere. Otherwise, it's impossible. It's delicious. Green vegetables are fresh and refreshing. Although it's just vegetables, I actually tasted the fresh flavor. Yes, it's umami. Delicious. In an instant, the members looked intoxicated. Unbelievable. Mimisaka Subaru quickly picked up his chopsticks and ate a piece into his mouth. Shocked. The members didn't lie. It was the moment when the green vegetables were imported. He then understood the gap between his cooking and Lin Fan. Chew and swallow carefully. I thought it was a problem with my sense of taste, so I picked up one again and ate it. Still the same taste. Tried his stir-fried Qinglong dish. The taste was totally different. Mimisaka Subaru said in disbelief. Impossible. It can't be like this. 5. I obviously followed the steps, and my investigation couldn't be wrong. How can it be like this? And when I was cooking just now, I didn't see that he had too many steps or too few steps. It was completely within my plan. How come? You shouldn't be saying that. Mimisaka Subaru's face changed greatly, and he rushed to Lin Fan's cooking table. Look around, see his stove and the pot. I'm afraid it's different from his. But after inspection, all the cooking utensils are exactly the same as the members. This is psychedelic. Not only Mimisaka Subaru is psychedelic, but even the members are fascinated. Is this a taste deviation? At this time, Lin Fan calmly smiled and said, "Boy, don't think that I didn't know you were secretly spying on me these days. I'm just looking at you. What are you trying to do? 35, know why you don't do what I do." Having said that, Lin Fan pointed to the oil in the seasoning area. Lin Fan laughed. Grave accent. The answer lies in this oil. This is my specially treated chicken fat. 39. Wow, everyone was shocked. Chicken oil? 35 Lin Fan laughed. Yes, chicken fat. It's the oil I extracted from the fat of the chicken and then blended with peanut oil in a certain proportion to form the oil. In this way, the skill ensures that the chicken oil is delicious and not greasy. The members suddenly realized and quickly took out the paper and took notes. Mimisaka Subaru was shocked and kept shaking his head. Lin Fan stepped forward and continued. I know you are still confused. Even if I replace the ordinary oil with chicken oil, there is no way that there is such a big difference in the way you cook with me. Then there is one more point which I am afraid you have overlooked. 35. This fried Qinglong dish is a home-cooked dish in Chinese cuisine. In terms of production, it is now approaching the rainy season, and it is also related to the geographical environment. There will be some earthy smell on the green vegetables. So, the purpose of using chicken oil is to eliminate the earthy smell and you just imitating a frame, but not imitating the inner soul. Mimisaka Subaru-san, what a failure. Even if you don't know Chinese cuisine, but this kind of conventional cognition as a chef, don't you have this sharp insight? That's it. How dare you say that you are the king of tracking? 99. That's how you tracked it? That's how you inspected the food? It's not ashamed. If I were Eizan, I would feel ashamed to have such a pig-like subordinate. Mimisaka Subaru was shaking with anger. Hesitating in his mouth, he didn't spit out a word for a long time. At this time, the members of the society roared. That's it. You guy, come to us for a sense of existence. Get out of here. Yeah, if you're willing to admit defeat, don't think that you could default on your debt. Just now, I recorded it. If you are unwilling to apply for dropping out, then we will be happy to do it for you. 35. Really relieved, you guy? We have nothing to do with you. Members are aggressive. Mimisaka Subaru broke out in a cold sweat. I quickly organized the language in my mind, and it took a long time to reply. You guys are so naive. 35. Even if I lose, it's true that Lin Fan lied to you and hid the recipe from you. Power. 99. If it weren't for me, how would you know that chicken oil needs to be put in this stir-fried Qinglong dish? 99. Even if you cook Qinglong dishes for the rest of your life, you won't be able to satisfy this guy. However, a boy replied, Wrong. You made a mistake. We already knew it. Mimisaka Subaru looked surprised. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 75, Trample Your Dignity with Strength. 6 more subscriptions. What did you already know? What did you know? Mimisaka Subaru asked in surprise. The boy next to him replied, Didn't you just say that Lin Fan kept the recipe private and didn't tell us the complete recipe? With that said, the boy handed the recipe on his cooking table to Mimisaka Subaru, and he gestured to him with his eyes. Well, look at the words at the end of the recipe for yourself. Mimisaka Subaru looked puzzled and took a look at the recipe. Shocked. The boy smiled and said, Can't you see clearly for yourself? It is clearly stated at the end that this recipe is only a rough recipe, and the cooked Qinglong dishes are not the ideal dishes that will be presented in the end. 99. So, if you want to cook the perfect Qinglong dish, you have to find out for yourself. 33. You can't see who is to blame. How can it be said that Lin Fan lied to us? Yeah, I was a little confused at first, but then I figured it out. And Lin Fan is not wrong. It's you. You came here to make trouble. 39. Mimisaka Subaru shocked. Another girl suddenly realized, Oh, no wonder Lin Fan told us not to talk just now. 99. Looks like he doesn't know. Mimisaka Subaru's jaw dropped. That's exactly what it says in the recipe. Mine is not like yours, Mimisaka Subaru said, and took out his recipe. In an instant, he understood what was going on. He looked back at Lin Fan and said, Stinky boy, you are actually playing with me. Lin Fan laughed. I want you. Who is it who pretended to come to me and said that he wanted to join the club to study cooking? I'm too lazy to worry about it. What is the reason for you to come to me and make trouble? 020, according to our agreement just now, after you lose, you will not only get out of Tsuki, but also... Lin Fan smiled meaningfully. Woo! The members cheered, kneeled down and begged for mercy. Isn't that what he just said? Yeah, I've recorded it. He can't hide. If he wants to default on his debt today, how about we send it out? When the time comes, don't blame us for not showing him face. 5. Kneel down, kneel down. The members of the society shouted frantically. For a while, Mimisaka Subaru couldn't wait to find a seam to turn around to escape from here. However, this group of guys he thought was damn, it actually made a video. If you really let them send it out, it would be a big trouble. Mimisaka Subaru turned back, looked at Lin Fan, and saw him smiling at him. This face, the more I look at it, the more disgusting it is, such a thing as kneeling. It's worse than death. Seeing Mimisaka Subaru's hesitation, Lin Fan smiled and said, "What? This is your choice, and you want to default? Hurry up, I'm still in a hurry." Saying that, 2 boys with a body similar to him walked up to Mimisaka Subaru alone. He patted him on the shoulder and said impatiently, "I would like to admit defeat. What's wrong with you, and you still can't pay?" Mimisaka Subaru clenched his fists, wanting to smash Lin Fan into pieces. A boy pushed him down. "If we don't compromise today, I'm afraid, AAA, there will be no black unicorn. The more you think about it, the more you get angry. The more you think about it, the more you get angry. Grit your teeth." Bang, pushed by a boy, I saw Mimisaka Subaru kneeling directly in front of Lin Fan. Lin Fan put away his smile and said sternly, "Apologize." Mimisaka Subaru looked up and said in surprise, "Lin Fan, don't go too far." Lin Fan gave the members a look. Each of the 2 boys patted his shoulder with one hand. Mimisaka Subaru made a subconscious gesture of swallowing saliva. "Yes, sorry." However, all this was photographed by another member of the staff with a mobile phone. Another boy smiled and said, "Boy, don't think it's great to follow Eizan Senpai. Tell you, this is your handle. It's best to be honest when you go out in the future if you want to make some crooked thoughts. Soon, this video will spread all over the food circle." After speaking, the students burst into laughter. Mimisaka Subaru lost his face. All this came so suddenly. Mimisaka Subaru didn't say anything, got up and left silently. It would be a shame to stay here for another minute. However, the boys still laughed behind him. "You are limited to disappear within tomorrow. If I can see you again and find that you haven't dropped out of school. This video will be the focus of the Totsuki forum this semester. Ha ha." Mimisaka Subaru glanced sideways and left quickly without looking back. Lin Fan smiled calmly. "This brat deserves it." Totsuki Elite 10 office bang. Eizan Zhijin also slapped again and slapped it hard on the desk. Mimisaka Subaru stood at the table, bowing his head and saying nothing. Eizan Zhijin also said angrily, "Trash. Really trash. I lost my face to you. Years, who was it 3 days ago? Who is it? In your current position, you swore to tell me that you want to make Lin Fan disappear completely. But now what? Who the hell disappeared? Don't worry about yourself. You still want to bring me? All Totsuki teachers and students know that you Mimisaka Subaru are my Eizan people. It's my confidant. 35. Originally, I felt that it was inappropriate for you to go to the Black Qinglong Club. After all, you are not relatives, not related, and have no relationship. You went so rashly, it seemed abrupt. But you promised me that you will definitely get rid of Lin Fan in your own way. The biggest mistake I made was believing your nonsense." Eizan Zhijin also became more and more angry. Bang, he picked up the water glass on the table and slammed it to the ground. Mimisaka Subaru kept his head down and said nothing. His face has been lost, and at this moment, he doesn't want to say anything. In the office, it was quiet, except for the sound of Eizan also gasping for breath. He was so angry that his brain hurt, and he kept rubbing his temples. After a moment, Mimisaka Subaru finally said, "Eizan Senpai, they asked me to drop out. Otherwise, that video will be posted on the Totsuki forum, and then you..." Eizan Zhijin also said indifferently, "Yes, drop out. Then why don't you get the hell out of me right now? For a useless person like you, staying in Totsuki is just wasting your place. I don't want to see you at all now. You give it to me immediately. Disappear immediately," Mimisaka Subaru said anxiously. "Senior, I really don't want to leave. If I stay, even if they spread the video of me, This match has not been made public. 35. No notary public either. So, as long as the seniors are willing to help me and the council can unanimously pass it, I don't have to leave. As long as I insist, it's a personal grudge between me and Lin Fan, and it has nothing to do with the senior. No one will think of the senior, and you will not be disgraced. 99. The more Mimisaka Subaru spoke, the calmer he became. Eizan Zhijin also glanced at him, still indifferently said, "Don't want to go? Are you threatening me?" It's a coincidence. Why am I not afraid of threats? Not only that, I can even get the council to unanimously approve your withdrawal. 99. If you are wise, you'd better disappear immediately. Otherwise, you may not even be able to mix in this circle in the future. Eizan Zhijin didn't show a trace of affection and spoke calmly. Mimisaka Subaru was helpless. With no backstage at Tsuki, the last chips were lost. Even if you're not reconciled, you can only turn around and leave. Eizan Zhijin also saw Mimisaka Subaru leave. Sit in a chair and think calmly. This guy Lin Fan, based on so many previous lessons, seems to be outwitted. When it is not a last resort, you must not confront hardships. Otherwise, you will only lose both. After thinking for a while, Eizan Zhijin also got up. Just now, he thought of a good solution. Black Kirin Chinese Cuisine Research Association Eizan Zhijin was also standing at the door of the Black Unicorn. Such a research community is really shabby. Go in silently. Dong, dong, dong. There was a knock on the door of Lin Fan's office. Please come in. As soon as the voice fell, the door was pushed open. Eizan Zhijin also strode in. Lin Fan was stunned when he saw this. Just when I was about to speak, I saw the other party said first, "Hello, Lin Fan. My name is Eizan, the 9th seat of the Tsuki Elite 10. This should be the first time we meet, right? Nice to meet you. Here is the cute dividing line, Chapter 76, Stop Talking Nonsense. Eat the halberd. 7 more, please subscribe." Eizan Zhijin also slowly walked into the office. Then he pulled out the chair in front of the desk, sat down, and looked at Lin Fan calmly. This young man who made him disgraced was really angry when he first met. However, Eizan Zhijin also had to hold back his anger. Seeing this, Lin Fan subconsciously thought of Mimisaka Subaru. Sure enough, did you listen to Eizan's orders? However, Lin Fan couldn't figure out where he was in conflict with him without breaking his head. So much so that this Tsuki Elite 10 actually visited the door in person. Lin Fan calmly smiled and said, "Welcome, Eizan Senpai. Let me guess, you came to me, not just to say hello to me dash." For Mimisaka Subaru? Eizan Zhijin also heard this and sneered. Mimisaka Subaru. For him? Joke. He who has done such shameless things behind his back is also worthy of me to come in person? Don't worry, that guy has completely disappeared from Tsuki. 39. I came here specifically to tell you, and it's because I didn't pay attention, which led to these things. Eizan Zhijin was also expressionless and spoke calmly. But Lin Fan could see reluctance from his expression. Obviously, this guy has something to say. Lin Fan took a deep breath and said with a smile, "Senior Ruishan, let's get straight to the point. This will save you and me from trouble. 5. You always talk so obliquely. You're tired, and you're wasting my time." Eizan Zhijin also took a deep breath. Calm down. Must be calm. He kept silent in his mind. After a while, Eizan said, "Actually, I've noticed you since the first day you entered school. Your ability is very strong. Are you interested in joining my team?" Lin Fan said in surprise. "Your team?" Eizan Zhijin also nodded and said yes. "A few days ago, I also knew about you in that commercial street. After all, Mozuya Fried Chicken is currently the #1 selling store in the country. I accidentally tasted it yesterday, and his family changed the formula. If I guess correctly, it should be yours, right? Whether it is from the combination of ingredients or the taste of making, it is amazingly similar to your style. It can be seen that you are indeed a business wizard. You must have heard about my past from other students, right? Although I hold the title of Tsuki Elite 10, I'm more passionate about Business Point 35, so maybe we can work together. Maybe you can join me. In this way, I'm like a tiger with wings and icing on the cake. It's good for me and for you, isn't it? After talking for a long time, Lin Fan finally understood. This guy is here to win over himself. For the next half hour, Eizan Zhijin also used his 3-inch tongue to persuade Lin Fan. And, more naively, he wanted Lin Fan's black unicorn to merge with him. However, this is nothing. The key point, Lin Fan guessed something from his words. That is, Mozu House should have something to do with him. I heard earlier that Eizan Zhijin is also very successful in business. And to put it bluntly, he is a rich man. Many large and small restaurants in the country have his presence. So, Lin Fan interrupted Eizan Zhijin, also speaking. And he said, Senior Eizan, you have been talking for a long time and I understand it. I was curious at first why Misaka Subaru came to me to find fault with no reason. 35. But from the point of view of the messenger behind him, just a few minutes ago, I didn't even think about it. There was a conflict with you somewhere. 35. Until just now, in your words, 8 out of 10 sentences are inseparable from the Moza House. Nian, if I'm not mistaken, the former recipe provider for Moza House. Is that you? 35. Because of my relationship, China Moza Shuang has terminated the cooperative relationship with you. However, with your current wealth, why would you care about that little fried chicken nugget shop? 35. The only way to say, then, is that for you, who has been successful in business, to come to a book, it's like a smear on a white paper. So you have to make sure it's perfect. 99, Lin Fan said with a smile. Am I right, Eizan Senpai? Eizan Zhijin was also stunned when he heard this. Quickly took a deep breath, spit it out, and said, You're still smart. 99. If I had known this, I would have come to you directly, and I would not have been dragged down by Misaka Subaru's self-righteous guy. 99. Okay, since you already know, let me say it directly. Join me. Let's do it together. When Eizan Zhijin also said this, he refused in his heart. But facing a formidable and difficult opponent like Lin Fan, there is really no other way. It wasn't until Eizan talked to Lin Fan that he was more convinced of this. What kind of person is Lin Fan? If others treat him well, then he can treat his friends wholeheartedly. If you suffer a loss, no matter how you come to Japan in the future to make up for it. No. So Lin Fan smiled calmly. Senior Ruishan, I can only tell you, unfortunately, I have no interest in your invitation at all, because you win me over and you can get greater benefits from me. But I'm with you. For me, it's obviously not helpful. It's the same without you. From a businessman's point of view, this is a business without capital, and it is a loss. 5. Eizan Zhijin also heard this and kept telling himself that he had to be calm, and finally broke out. I saw his forehead bulging with blue veins, gnashing his teeth and looking at Lin Fan. Stinky boy, don't shame you. What kind of identity am I? You are just someone with a little talent. 95, but you know, in Tsuki, talent is very important. If you don't have a strong backer, you will be unable to move an inch. I condescended to come to win you over. This is worth it. You don't know how to praise. 35. After Lin Fan heard this, he smiled contemptuously and replied, I admit that a strong background can indeed make the future road smoother. But you too overestimate yourself. Just you, strong background. 0. 4 flowers 00. I didn't see it at all. Sorry, I still have a lot to do. Please disappear from my sight immediately. Bang. Eizan Zhijin also slapped the table fiercely. Don't give your face shame. Once again, Eizan Zhijin also gritted his teeth and looked at Lin Fan viciously. However, Lin Fan is not a vegetarian either. Bang, he also slammed into the table with a punch, and after getting up, he pulled Eizan Zhijin's collar. I call you a long-term leader. That's because I look up to you. Don't be ashamed for some reason. I should have told you this. 99 how? I'm used to it, and come to me to be wild. Whatever you want. If you want to fight or kill me, I will accompany you to the end. Eizan Zhijin also saw that Lin Fan's expression was more fierce than his. He subconsciously swallowed his saliva and said, let me go first. Lin Fan pushed him away fiercely. Eizan Zhijin was also a little cowardly, but he couldn't help but get angry and said, as a chef, I always engage in routines other than these chefs. If you're not convinced, we should use the chef's way to solve it. After Lin Fan heard this, he smiled and said, "The chef's way? Okay, then stop talking nonsense and eat the halberd." And it's the kind of openly eating the halberd. Whoever loses will die. Eizan Zhijin was also stunned. At this moment, Lin Fan looks like a desperado. If you say it, it's like you don't want to die. Eizan Zhijin was so frightened that he was silent for a long time, slightly embarrassed. Seeing his cowardice, Lin Fan sneered. "Humph, isn't it amazing? 99, congratulations. You have successfully provoked me. Openly eat the halberd. 35, you don't need to lose who will die, but if you lose, you must give me all your assets. And get out Tsuki." Eizan Zhijin also took a deep breath and said angrily, "All my family property. Then you have something to bet with me. Like you, all my assets combined. Although there are only more than 10 million, but it's your dignity to bet on the Mozu house. Finally, like you, I also dropped out of school. How? 99 obviously, this is obviously much softer than gambling." Eizan is thinking, Lin Fan, as a newcomer and a freshman, is a newcomer no matter how good his cooking skills are. Even if I lost to him a long time ago, according to the rules. Most people should have never taken this transfer student seriously. So, as one of the elite 10s, Eizan Edema, he has absolute certainty that Lin Fan will get out of Tsuki completely. So, Eizan Zhijin also straightened his hair and said calmly, "The grievance is between us. Let's eat the halberd publicly to solve it at the Tsuki venue. 5. The time is set for tomorrow afternoon. Here is the cute dividing line, chapter 77 Jing Xing. 7 stars. Instant broken sword dance the next evening on this day. Lin Fan came to Tsuki's venue as scheduled. The halberd was set in the evening because the students at this time were all out of school. Guaranteed to have enough audience. Let everyone come to witness this, the extremely absurd halberd in the mouth of the students. After all, in the minds of Tsuki students, the Elite 10's place is sacred. Even though Lin Fan is currently popular, it can't shake the ability of Tsuki Elite 10. However, what Lin Fan has to do today is to pull this so-called Elite 10 off the altar. At this time, the venue had not yet opened, and the outside was already crowded with students. This time, there were more people watching than Lin Fan and Mito Yumei ate the halberd last time. The students stood outside the venue, discussing with gusto. This should be Lin Fan, the second time in Tsuki's publicity. The audience must be at least twice as many as the last time. 99, that's not right. You know, this is going to eat a halberd with one of the Elite 10, and it's still a freshman. The last time there was such a famous scene was at Nikiri Arena, fighting for the position of Elite 10. It's true, you guessed, today's Lin Fan will 020 create a miracle here. Although I admit that he's very strong, he shouldn't be so lucky, right? That's Eizan. Even if he only cares about business recently, he's still very good. 9. It can only be said that no matter which side loses, it will be shocking. All assets and studies. The students were talking. Lin Fan stood outside, waiting for the gate to open and the students to enter. At this time, the members of Polar Star Dorm also came. When Ishiki Satoshi saw Lin Fan, he had long lost his usual smiling attitude. "Lin Fan, you're too impulsive. You don't know Eizan Zhijin. This guy is not ordinary." Marui Zenji was already terrified and just kept nodding in response. Yukihira SMA disagreed and encouraged. "It's okay. I have always supported you." 55 Eizan Zhijin. They all say he is very powerful. Then you can beat him and show them. Tadakuro Megumi nodded and said, "Yes, along the way, Lin Fan has proved to us time and time again how superb his cooking skills are. Although I'm also very worried. I still believe that Lin will win." 35 Yoshino Yuki grabbed Lin Fan's arm again and said coquettishly, "You have to work hard and teach Eizan Senpai a lesson." 35, I believe in you. You can definitely do it. Cheer up in the face of a group of people. Lin Fan smiled, patted the box in his hand, and said with a smile, "Don't worry, this guy. I didn't pay attention." 35 The members of Polar Star Dorm followed Lin Fan into the arena, opening still a lovely host, seeing her loose hair and a big bow on the back of her head. Pat, pat, pat. Off the field, there was thunderous applause and deafening cheers. This scene is as lively as the annual carnival. There was not a single vacant seat in the venue, and it was full of people. Even the corridors and aisles were full of people. The host stands in the middle of the stage, and she is flanked by cooking tables. I saw her excitedly saying, "Everyone, good evening, everyone. I'm your lovely Kawashima Rei." Pat, pat, pat. Once again, thunderous applause and roar. Woo! Kawashima-senpai is so cute. Come on, come on. Kawashima-san, look here, I'm here. 99. I'm your fan. 35. The students shouted wildly. Kawashima Rei motioned for them to calm down. Afterwards, still looking cute, he said with a smile, "Tonight's halberd is very interesting. This is one of the few times since I presided over so many halberds, and the gap between the strengths assessed by the two sides will be relatively large." 35. On the one hand, Lin Fan, who is a newcomer this year, was immediately crowned as the Totsuki Rookie King. On the one hand, there is a super chef, but he is addicted to shopping malls and has the title of alchemist. Eizan Zhijin also. Kawashima Rei routinely gave a series of introductions. After the speech is over, the staff, respectively, prepare the ingredients in the middle ingredient area. At this time, Rei Kawashima smiled and said, "Today's theme of eating halberd is beef. It was decided by me in their place of draw before the game." 35. I remember the last time when Lin Fan ate halberds here, it was the same theme. 35. So, today's Lin Fan, will it surprise us and become a dark horse counterattack? Or in other words, there is no suspense. The winner belongs to Ruishan-san. Then please pay attention to this 2-hour halberd duel. Speaking, Kawashima Rei raised the decibel of her speech and said emotionally, "I announce, the battle of halberds in this field has officially begun." Pat, pat, pat. The audience again burst into thunderous applause. The voice of cheering is also divided into two groups. Come on, Lin Fan. Come on, Black Huron Chinese Cuisine Club. Lin Fan has never lost since he entered school. Please continue to maintain this score and create a Tsuki historical record once again. Lin Fan is the pride of our freshmen, the pride of the community, and we support you. 35. What are you shouting? A delusional freshman wants to challenge the Elite 10. Isn't this just a pipe dream? That is, although I admit that Lin Fan's cooking skills are very good, but after all, he can't take it on the table. Keep your mouth clean. Lin Fan beat Shinomiya Kojiro Senpai. According to rumors, that day, the senior Qinglong didn't plan to compare with him at all. He just let him, and he really took himself seriously. Let's go to the market. Lin Fan, this is the last time in your life that you will be on the Tsuki stage, so it's rare. The students on both sides were arguing and almost got into a fight. Amid the roar of students off the field, Lin Fan silently walked to the ingredients area. At a glance, it is still 5 A-level meat. Take a piece of beef tenderloin and a few auxiliary ingredients, by the way. Just when I turned around and was about to go back to my cooking area, I suddenly saw that Eizan was also picking out ingredients. And Eizan Zhijin also bumped into Lin Fan subconsciously and deliberately. Seeing Lin Fan stop, Eizan sneered, "Transfer. Please allow me to call you that once, because you are really too self-aware. Thinking you're a freshman king, you want to beat me? Don't think I'm still a student, but my strength is no worse than the chefs outside. You know, I have always been in the food business circle, and I have very rich experience." The attitude of Eizan Zhijin is very domineering. Lin Fan turned his face and replied calmly, "Eizan, did you forget what happened yesterday? I don't mind. Do it in front of everyone." 30.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.